Okay, so very good morning, everybody. Today is the fourth day of our this third season of presentation, and today we will have presentations on literary theory and criticism. This is the morning session. In this session, we will have presentations by. Let me show the list of the presenters of this session. I'm sharing a screen. Yeah, so this participants, today's seminar, three students. We will start with Vachchalata's presentation, The Power of Feminism. Then Nirav will make presentation on deconstruction and the Yale School, deconstruction in practice. It will be followed by Nilay Rathod's presentation, a corpus tool for digital humanities research. Nidhi will make presentation on Marxist feminist theory. Nehalba on eco-criticism theory. Mayuri Pandya will read on Marxism in Bollywood movies. Khushboo will make presentation on ecocritical analysis of Wordsworth's Tintern, Abbey. Jheel will make presentation on reading of Gauri Shinde's English Winglish. Janvi will read on queer theory and Hindi cinema. These are the presentations of this session. As we have mentioned in the previous days also, that all these presentations are uploaded by students in Google Classroom, and their work is uploaded here, and through Google Classroom, through Google Slides, they make their presentations, which are streamed live also. And in this Google Classroom, we are using a rubric to evaluate. So teachers' evaluation is happening with the help of a rubric. Just a reminder for that, we test or we evaluate these presentations of the students on these parameters: subject knowledge of the student. Question and answers are also very important, that how well they answer the questions. Then if they are able to justify the answers, they get full point in that criteria. Then organization of their ideas, followed by verbal skills, elocution, art of clear speaking, then mechanics of writing, technical side of the writing, that is presentations, slides, grammatical errors, spelling, that all is judged in this. Non-verbal skills like eye contact, body language, enthusiasm. As it is streamed live, it is expected that you maintain your eye contact with camera, so that those who are watching you live or later on when your video is uploaded on your YouTube channel, it seems like you are talking with audience and you are not just reading the screen. So yesterday we had a very interesting comment from one YouTube watcher, that most of the students are just reading slides, not doing nothing else. So what is the purpose of reading slides? So that is what the online watcher may see, that you have no eye contact with camera and you are just looking at the slide. So the eye contact here, you can also look at the people who are sitting here, but it is hybrid mode. So you are watched by online audience also. You are watched by the physically present students also. So how you maintain both the things is very important in this criteria. You may be getting full score, but that doesn't mean you are doing very good work. Don't go by the points, but judge yourself by watching your video recordings. Final two criteria are about research-based writing. The presentations and assignments are part of your research writing also. So how well you integrate the sources with your arguments. If you are able to do that effectively, you get full score. And then whatever sources you have cited to support your arguments, if they are documented well, then in the final criteria, MLS style documentation is what we are suggesting. You get full score in that also. So this is how the rubric based evaluation is done in Google Classroom. We also have a system of peer evaluation, peer and self evaluation. So you are marking yourself also as well as your classmates. And this time we are very happy to see that in last three presentations, you all have done proper evaluation. Nobody has like done more or less. So we see that the three presentations are evenly divided in 33.3 percentage. We hope that in the next 2 days also, without any reminders, these things will be done effectively. And you can also overview how so far you are being judged by your classmates and even yourself. So this is the chart which every day whenever you submit your feedback, you are getting a link to check. So there is a transparency about this. You all can check every day the updates about how you are being evaluated by your classmates. So this is the chart which can help you look at yourself being evaluated by your classmates. So that is the another thing that we try to develop among the students, that you become an evaluator, self evaluator, and peer evaluator also. All these things are live streamed on this website. We have prepared one website where all the live streaming of the students or students activities are also uploaded. So on this point number 13 is the ongoing season, point number 13 here. And here we will find the live streaming of this season. We started on 2nd, and on 7th we are going to end this season of presentations. uh, First day's presentations are also made available here. Then on the second day's live streaming is now still available here. uh, Third day, that was yesterday, and today's presentations will be loaded here, and it will be made available through this page also. So this is how the things are going on, and let us start with our first presentation of today. And Vachchalata, you can come and start with your presentation.
Very good morning, everyone. Today is the fourth day of our presentation, and in which we have contemporary Western theories and film studies as our main subject. In which today I am going to deal with feminist criticism. Here is the quick insight of today's presentation. Today I am going to deal with feminist criticism, Indian English literature, and women who contributed in IEL, freedom from violence, how Bollywood portrays a woman. So, rise of feminism is It took 2 centuries of struggle to recognition of women's role in achievements. It is a distinctive and a concerted approach to literature. We have the most important precursor of the feminist criticism, who is Virginia Woolf, and her fiction is a room of one's own, is the main feminist work we can consider it. Also, Margaret Fuller's Woman in 19th Century is one of the book which played a main role in feminist criticism. Here we have the Indian English literature, women who contributed to the literature. Pandita Ramabai Saraswati, who were born in 1858 and she died in 1922. Krupa Satyanathan, uh, Cornelia Sorabji. This Cornelia Sorabji was the very first woman, Indian woman who wrote in English literature. Then Sarojini Naidu and Rokeya Hussain, whose one most famous work, Rokeya's Dream, we have studied. Now the question is, who am I and whom do I want to be? So here I have took a few images in which we can see a multitasking woman. There is a woman who is in office, and there is a woman who is working at home, and there is a picture of body shaming, and another cartoon picture is what is woman told by people, that you should wear heels to look taller, you'd be prettier if you lose weight, etc. What society expects from a woman. So imagine meeting a stranger for the first time. That's enough for you to get married to him. Like, we should spend a lifetime with a person with a 10-minute meeting. Uh, the question is, getting married to a stranger is okay, but dating is not. So what if he is an alcoholic, but if he won't treat me right? What if he utterly misogynist, while nothing is under your control, even when it's such a big decision in your life? So the thing is, woman is a character who never stands for herself, and she is always been told to obey parents, or even if after marriage she has to obey her husband, and then after she gets old she have to obey her children's. And so the female leads in Bollywood. So it's almost a 70 decade long history. Bollywood has been the female lead take on many forms, from the sacrificing mother and whimpering damsel in distress to woman in charge of her own destiny. The beginning of the golden era in cinema is considered to be a more idealistic portrayal of society. One standout movie of the era was Mother India. It captures the essence of identity of female characters of this period. The idea of woman being celebrated as the nation's pillar of strength, a thought that's perfectly represented in the iconic movie poster that shows Nargis lugging a heavily wooden plow. So in this era, there was a lot of movies which has male centric roles, but this was the rise of women as a lead in Bollywood. Here is 70s and 80s woman in Bollywood. So Sita and Gita, in which Hema Malini played a role, she was a good female character. She was shown an oppressed woman who suffered the mental and often physical torture from her family members without a word. So the thing is, when something happens to woman, she is supposed to be calm as a ocean, because she is the only person to survive, not to speak. Their silence in the face of that much pain was heralded as a virtue that all women must have. There is a thing we can say, that woman must be full of virtue rather than speaking out or outspoken or kind of. In 90s Bollywood and woman, the female lead became a one-dimensional character whose entire existence in the narrative of the story was to be at the mercy of the bad guy first, and then her brother or husband, come and save her. This is not to say that there weren't films that defied the norm, of, for instance, like Devi in Sadma and Chandni. So there were a thing that a woman is portrayed as a character who first fights with a bad guy, and then the male character comes who will save her. So that was the kind of down stage of the Bollywood. 20s Bollywood leading woman, Priyanka Chopra in Aitras. The film was released in 2004, which was starring Akshay Kumar and Kareena Kapoor Khan. In this movie, Priyanka is portrayed as a driven model who terminates her pregnancy for the sake of her ambitions, and the latter schemes to get her ex convicted of rape for dumping her. Sonia's hunger to get ahead was strong enough for her to terminate an unplanned pregnancy. There is no denying that she was the clear negative character in the story, trying to get back at an ex by accusing him of rape. But apart from that, the factors that attributed to her being cast as the bad guy driven, career focused, sexually liberated with a bodily agency would hold no ground today. So in this movie, Priyanka Chopra is portrayed as a self-centered. She was ambitious, and which made her a negative character in this story. Gender inequality issue in Bollywood. So there is an inclusion of subjects that have previously been unexplored by mainstream cinema, like female sexuality in Margarita with a straw and lipstick under my burqa, for instance. All this is not to say that today is the golden era for women in the cinema. This decade has seen the propagation of an unrealistic body standard, especially for women. It's no longer acceptable to just be a woman existing in the movies universe. The character should have a physique that would look good in bikini, no matter her profession. One look at the many action blockbusters have recent years will lead you to any notion that will have finally eliminated the gender inequality issue in Bollywood. Female leads in unconsequential roles seem to be the theme of majority of hit movies. So this unexplored mainstreams in cinema is considered as sexual in inequality, and the acceptance of LGBTQ is the real issue in this world. But in Bollywood, it is portrayed as positively. It gives a good side of that. But in the real life, we don't have that good response to that, and we have seen Bollywood's response to this LGBTQ in several movies like Badhai Do. There is a movie where they accept the thing that this is the very normal to accept, but in reality our society don't accept that. So gender equality issue in Bollywood is slightly accepting day by day, but in society we have facing these things a lot. These are my work cited.
Vachchalata, my question is how would you connect the marriage and feminism in this patriarchal society?
Nilay, marriage and feminism is in the patriarchal society. My answer to that is when a woman is asked to get married, there is a thing that love marriage and arranged marriage. So in a feminist view, I can say that when she gets married by her parents' choice, she she can't accept the thing that she has no stand for her. Whereas in love marriage she gets stands for herself. Whatever happens with her, it's her own thing. But when a parents kind of, they are in favor of her daughter also, but still they are not that much allowed to take decisions in behalf of her daughter.
So, Vachchalata, my question to you is that in postmodern age, right now we are living in, so how gender-based inequality is seen. So, can you a bit elaborate with your opinion, please? Thank you.
In this postmodern age, gender-based inequality is seen in form of we can say there is a government sector in India. There woman is uh, loaded with overwork, and she gets less money than a male character. So there is a gender based inequality seen in India that way.
So, Vachchhalata, my question is your topic is talking about power of feminism. But when you are giving an example of Etra's movie where Priyanka Chopra is leading and she is ambitious and independent woman, which is turning to be a vamp in a movie in the end. So it is how you are connecting that feminism, power of feminism is turning a woman into a vamp.
uh, See, in this movie, Priyanka is we can say that she wanted to be a model, and she terminated her pregnancy for her ambition. So it is the power of feminism, because she stands for herself.
Okay, you need to check this, who is going to ask questions and who is going to come after for the presentation. Those who are coming for the presentation, they are not asking questions. Questions are asked in the reverse order. So Janvi and Jheel were supposed to ask question. So see the list. So it is in opposite direction. When you are after this, Nilay will come for the presentation, but question will be asked by Vachchalata and Janvi. Got the point? Everybody, any doubt in that? Okay. So this way it has to move on. Okay. There is one question by Mr. Sabir, who is, I think, watching on YouTube. So you can reply, Vachchalata, you can reply in a YouTube comment to that question also.
So, okay, so the screen is visible on your screens or not? Thank you. So, yes, thank you, sir. So today is the third day of my presentation of the season three, and the topic I have chosen is deconstruction and the Yale School. And the second part of this presentation will be deconstruction in practice. So let us begin the slideshow. Okay, so I have taken some introductory part here of the Yale School. So the Yale University here is there. So the Yale School of Criticism. The Yale School is the term commonly used to describe the work of five outstanding scholars. So the Yale School, like any other Indian or any other literary criticism school, then we are having this Yale School here. So there are five base, or rather five, figures or foundational figures of this Yale School. Like first one is Harold Bloom. Second one is Paul Dima. Third one is Jacques Derrida, and fourth one is Geoffrey Hartman, and the fifth one is Joseph Hills Miller. Joseph Hillis Miller. So, and second point is that it is often referred to as the Yale School of Deconstruction or even as American Deconstruction in general. So the Yale University is situated in America. That is why the name is given like this, American Deconstruction. And the third point is while Dieman used the term deconstruction, and both Derrida and Miller remained aligned with this term throughout the writing. The connection between Bloom and Hartman and deconstruction is less obvious here. So the fourth, last one is here. The only significant volume produced by the Yale Quintet. So quintet means the group of five people. Okay, the group which consists of five people. Together is the collection of essay, deconstruction, and criticism. So there is an essay, this deconstruction and criticism, published in 1979, in which each critic contributes an essay on Shelley's The Triumph of Life. So the things that let us move ahead. So first is Harold Bloom, and I will just read these highlighted point. That is these points, and the second point coming down to Harold Bloom's The Anxiety of Influence. So he is having a seminal book, The Anxiety of Influence, has cast its own long shadow influence since it was first published in 1973. So in that book, he this kind of describes the relations between tradition and the individual artist. As we are having this T.S. Eliot, that he also talks about traditional and individual talent. So here somewhere regarding this poetry, relations between tradition and the individual artist is being discussed by this critic, that is Harold Bloom. So poetic misprision is also a good concept given by him, and the misreading that the Bloom asserts that the anxiety of influence comes out of a complex act of strong misreading, a creative interpretation he calls poetic misprision. So the misreading of poetry sometimes happens. That is the term. It was termed by Harold Bloom as poetic misprision. So the influence anxiety does not so much concern the forerunner, but rather is an anxiety achieved in and by the story, novel, play, poem, or essay. So no concern with who is writing the thing or poetry or any novel, but how we are interpreting that. With that, the concern is there. And the second one is Paul Dima. Paul Dima, he was a Belgian-born literary critic and literary theorist. And so the second one coming down to the main argument of Diman's seminal essay can be stated as follows: the grounds of literary meaning. So the grounds of literary meaning, and by extension all meaning, must be located in rhetoric rather than in any of the other possible dimensions: form, content, reference, grammar, logic. So we have to focus on the meanings, that how much meaning we can generate from whatever our reading is, and but not this content, reference, grammar, logic. Everything will be there indeed, but what is our interpretation is being emphasized here. But a rhetorical reading cannot guarantee authority over interpretation. So nobody can authorize their interpretation that it is the authorized interpretation. So many are free, or rather we are free to interpret the way we want. But it is not the way we want, whatever we interpret, but we must have some logical argument behind our interpreting the text. So it is dealt with it. So here it is also discussed like so. Therefore, there is no authority that can guarantee a reading. So the reading is also not guaranteed by any authority. So this does not license us to read the text just any way we want to. So it is not that just the way we want to read the text, we will be allowed to do so. But it will not do. But rather it commits us to readings that take a full account of the possibilities and limits of reading and writing. So the full account of possibilities of reading and writing must be taken care about while interpreting any text, according to Paul Dima. And one name for these possibilities and limits might be deconstruction. So again, it is revolving around this main concept. That is the key concept of our presentation. That is deconstruction. So it must be deconstructive in a sense. So the Demand begins by noting a decline in what he calls formalist and intrinsic criticism. The formalist and intrinsic. So let us move ahead. The third one, a very major figure in this school among the five is Sir Jacques Derrida. So Sir Jacques Derrida, the founder of deconstruction, so as a theory or as a propounder, the founder, the deconstruction, Sir Jacques Derrida is there. So a way of criticizing. So what is deconstruction basically? A way of criticizing not only both literary and philosophical text, but also political institutions as well. So it is not only related to the literature or whatever the literary writings are, but it is coming outside of the departments of English right here in this university. So it is concerning itself with this political aspect of the nation, of the country, of the this political or any kind of stratum like this. So although Derrida at times expressed regret concerning the fate of the word deconstruction, its popularity indicates the wide-ranging influence of his thought. So the wide range should be there in deconstruction theory, in philosophy, in literary criticism and theory, in art, and in particular architectural theory, and in political theory as well. So it is not only limited to the literary text and literary theory. It vast itself in so many aspects of life. Even in science field also, there are many things also like this. And the Derrida usually changes the terms or orthography. For example, writing difference with an A as difference in order to indicate the change in its status. So like first we are having this word difference, diffference. So difference means something that is not going aligned with something what is proposed, like something not similar to the other. But here Derrida is proposing the term difference, putting A instead of E, like difference. So difference, there are then according to this word we can derive two meanings. First is difference, that to deviate from what is there, and second is defer. It means to postpone. Defer, it means postpone. So why do we need to postpone? Because when we are interpreting some text, then we cannot say it is the ultimate meaning. We have to postpone our interpretation. Like it can be, or there can be some more also. So there is no that the whole loop is like this. It is unlimited. It is like everlasting loop. That we cannot reach to a particular position that okay, this is this. It will also lead to something else, like in order to indicate the change in status or difference which is found in appearances when we recognize their temporal nature, then refers to the undecidable resource into which metaphysics cut in order to make its decision. Like, and the third, in his 1993 Spectres of Marx, say again the Marxism reference is coming here. So he is writing a book, Spectres of Marx, in 1983. The publishing thing was there. So where Derrida insisted that a deconstructed or criticized Marxist thought is still relevant to today's world, despite globalization, and that a deconstructed Marxism consists in a new messianism, a messianism of a democracy to come. And the structure, sign, and play in the this discourse is also taken here. So there are two famous quotations. Like the first one is Derrida states that the mark of the absence of a presence, an always already absent present of the leg at the origin, that is the condition of thought and experience. So here again the things are emphasized, like we have to read absence over present. So whatever is proposed, like suppose we are having this post-colonial argument, like the colonizers are writing the history of those who are being colonized by them. So we have to read the absence over presence. Rather, okay. So what is proposed to us? Like two lines are there. We have to read between lines. So there is a phrase reading between the lines. So it must be whenever we are just deconstructing any text. And the second thing, the very famous quotation or the very oft quoted statement given by Sir Jacques Derrida is, language bears within itself the necessity of its own critic. So in language, when we want to criticize the language, when we want to criticize something that is written, rather that is expressed through the medium of language, then we have to find a loophole in the language that is spoken, that is written, or anything like that. So the loophole is there. So and other things. The fourth one is Sir Geoffrey Hartman. Here we find that Geoffrey Hartman, who opposed Anglo-American formalism, he opposes Anglo-American formalism, brought continental thought. So continental thought, the universality of the literature, brought continental thought to North American literary criticism and championed criticism as a creative act. So criticism as a creative act was championed by him. It is very rarest of the rare thing seen here in the field of criticism as well. So the Hartman advocates the use of incomplete references. So he advocates the use of incomplete references and seek a critical language that is highly figurative and critical at the same time. So you are given not the whole full-fledged thing, but you are given the incomplete references, and at the same time you are given this, this highly figurative and critical the interpretation of this thing at the same time. And Hartman regards criticism as inside literature, So criticism is there inside the literature, so it is not outside literature. So that is why, like, this language bears necessity of its own critic within itself. So it is inside it, the literature. The criticism is inside the whatever is written. So Best argued in his essay Crossing Over, so he is writing an essay, Crossing Over Literary Commentary as Literature. He argues that critical reading should not seek mean, but should reveal the contradictions and equivocations in a text meaning. So see, what is here, like, critical reading should not seek meaning only. Okay, so it is not about just deriving meaning out of anything that we are criticizing, especially the literary text, but should reveal the contradictions and equivocation in a text. So what kind of like conflicts are there? What kind of binaries are put in there, and what kind of similarities are raised by the author? So Hartman rejects the death of the subject and the idea of unlimited free play. For Hartman, the Derridian notion of the complete undecidable is unacceptable. So he is the fifth one is Sir Joseph Ellis Miller. So the prominent Yale critic, Joseph Ellis Miller's concept, the critic as a host. So he's coming up with his theory like critic as a host that he proposed in journal Critical Inquiry, third volume. So here you will find this Critical Inquiry. So it is published by Chicago University. Critical Inquiry, third volume, published in 1977, could be viewed as a reply to M.H. Abrams. So as we are having this Philip Sidney's reply to Stephen Gosson in this poesy and the thing. So like at the same thing, like M.H. Abrams is also writing the deconstructive angle, and for which or to the to give a response to this James Miller is writing the critic as a host, or Critical Inquiry, third volume, published in 1977. So now what happens? The conflict is there between M.H. Abrams and Joseph Ellis Miller. So what conflict is there? Let us see. In his essay, Abrams had argued that there is a fixed univocal meaning. So he is, just limiting the meaning. There is a fixed and univocal meaning. So there can be multi-vocal meaning. Like there cannot be any other thing. Like only this thing can be derived out of whatever we are doing, whatever we are reading, or whatever we are criticizing. So there cannot be something else according to this M.S. Abrams. But meaning for a text, and if we use deconstructive strategies, history will become an impossibility. So what is telling that we can distort, or rather we may distort, or we might distort history by putting the deconstructive strategies while interpreting any text. But Miller replied that univocal and determinate meaning is an impossibility, as history also is. So we cannot even rely on the historical sources we are right now having, because there are still some dilemma about so many things, so many aspects. Like some will have different voice, some will have the different voice, the year even not are decided properly. So that is why this Miller's argument becomes very quite correct here, that Miller replied that univocal, it means only one meaning, and determinate, it means very limited meaning, is an impossibility, as history also is. So history also is an impossibility we can stand upon. And now, so Miller begins the essay with a crucial question. So in his essay, he asks a question. So when a text contains a citation from another text, it is like a parasite in the main text, or is it the main text that surrounds? Is it the main text surrounds and strangles the citation? So here, it is not the idea that was liked by Miller. Like many people tend to see the deconstructionist reading as a parasite on its host, the univocal reading. Okay, and let us go ahead. Yes. So the deconstruction is also there. So the deconstruction was both created and has been profoundly influenced by the French philosopher, as we referred to him earlier, like Sir Jacques Derrida. Derrida, who coined the term deconstruction, argues that in why he felt a need to coin out this term, or rather propound this theory. Like there was a need, like what need he felt like this. In Western culture, people tend to think and express their thoughts in terms of binary oppositions. Like binary, like there are two groups are there, and if you are not, so for example, let me explain for the sake of explanation. Like two groups are there, and one group is asking you to join them, and another one is asking to you do the same. But when you are not standing with them, but you are going with them, or rather you want to stand alone, but then they will find, okay, either you are with us or with them. So it is the thing, this binary opposition are created, like day and night, black and white are there, male, female, all the things are there, but it is for that matter only. Opposition, white, black, masculine, feminine, cause, effect, conscious, unconscious, presence, absence, speech, writing, so everything is there. So Derrida suggests these oppositions are hierarchies in miniature. So these opposition, why do we have this opposition, or rather this binary? Because we want to identify certain thing, because I want to identify male over female and female over male. So I am having this binary or this opposition. But what happens is that it is there, it is the hierarchy in miniature. So it becomes a hierarchy form. Like, see, binary is put like this, so it is not one above the other. But hierarchy means what? This is hierarchy. So it is hierarchy in miniature. So when you come down to the cultural thing, cultural criticism, then you will find this hierarchy is that femininity is being overpowered by masculinity, or that is why we are having in majority part of this world the patriarchal society there. So that is why this term is, it is the hierarchy in miniature, containing another considered negative or inferior. So there is the concept of superiority and inferiority. So it is not the binary that both will go in a line manner, but it will go overlap each other. So then it creates a master-slave kind of relationship, if you want to say, and even if only slightly so, slightly is also there. Okay. Through deconstruction, Derrida aims to erase the boundary between binary opposition. So, what is the chief, or rather the core aim of him this propounding the theory? Like, he wants to erase the boundary between binary oppositions. So there should not be any kind of hierarchical position, but there should be binary just for the sake to identify the things from one another or each other, and to do so in such a way that the hierarchy implied by the oppositions is thrown into question. So that is why this hierarchy is thrown into question while doing the deconstructive reading. Okay, so we will see it in the further slide when we will be putting this into practice with some Indian mythological references. So now deconstruction involves the close reading of texts in order to demonstrate that any given text has irreconcilably contradictory meanings rather than being a unified logic whole. So here deconstruction involves the close reading of text. So it is not the like refilling the pages and doing the thing, but it will be like close reading of the text. You will have to be conscious on each and every lines that you are reading. Okay, you have to connect the dots, like you have to refer to this like this thing, whatever you have read before and whatever you are gonna read afterwards. So whatever you are reading from that point, in order to demonstrate that any given text, so that any given text has irreconcilably, it means there is no coherence, there is no like a connection in that term. We can say irreconcilably contradictory meaning. So there can be contradictory meaning, like whatever is proposed to us, it does not mean that it is the way it is there. So there can be some opposition into it, like, so rather than being a unified and logical whole. So it might refute the logical paradigm if we read in that way. This deconstructive way of reading happens. So it refutes the logical paradigm that is there in the structuralism, and that is why this age is called post-structuralism. That is the breaking the boundaries that was proposed by structuralist criticism and critics and these authors also. Okay. Okay, so for the sake of this deconstruction in practice, I have taken here is a verse or sloka from Bhagavad Gita, which is helpful in understanding the feminine place. So I have taken the Indian mythology, and for that I'm just referring to one sloka from this Bhagavad Gita to understand the feminine place in history, and taken in order to do a deconstructive reading concerned with historical as well as mythical social values. So how social values, as we were seeing in the hierarchical position that was proposed by Sir Derrida. So here one this sloka is taken. So it is the sloka. This Adhyaya or chapter 9 and 32, like this is the sloka. So I am just reading for the sake of this Sanskrit transliteration. Mam hi partha vyapasritya yepi syuh papayonayah triyo vaisyas tatha sudraste piyanti param gatim. So it is the thing as sloka, and here is the translation of that sloka. The ocean of Pratha, that is Arjuna, those who take shelter in me here is Krishna, or he is referring to him as God, though they be of lower birth. Okay, so the lower birth is also coming here. So the hierarchy is coming here. If we consider the deconstruction here, women, they are coming down in this hierarchy strata, or this stratum of this lower birth. Like women are there, Vaichyas or merchants, mercantile class we want to say, and Sudras, workers, can attain the supreme destination. So this hierarchy is simply put in this sloka. Like, so there are lower birth hierarchy. There is binary, but it is again this hierarchy coming. So the one, this we are having this four varna like this Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Sudra. So this is coming in the hierarchical position, not in the aligned in this binary position, or rather this opposition like these things. But the hierarchy is there, so the superiority, inferiority will be there, and on that ground there may be unjust practices that we want to read out of this deconstructive reading or reading between line things. And I have taken some excerpt or rather from this book. Like Prabhupada writes in his purport of 7th sloka of 16th chapter. So though that Bhagavad Gita as it is, so there is a book Bhagavad Gita as it is, and the purported, it was purported by this Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, and herein he writes in this 7th slok of the 16th chapter in the 7th slok, that in the purport, it is not the translation, it is the purport. It means you can say you are giving some commentary on that, not the translation of the real sloka, but the commentary of what you think on the sloka. Then this comes in front of us, that how the place, woman's place was there in the ancient mythical India, or rather in this Manu Samhita was there at that time. So now in the Manu Samhita, it directly refers to that. It is clearly stated that a woman should not be given freedom. So see the things, that woman should not be given the freedom. It is stated in Manu Samhita like this the thing. And actually, a woman should be given protection at every stage of life. See, if we want to do some deconstructive reading, then we say the woman should be given protection at every stage of life. So it means it can be seen like the woman is not safe. If whatever is needed this protection, then it means the very person is not safe. So by whom it is the person is not safe? Then the patriarchal society. So here we can read the patriarchal society was very cruel towards women. That is why the women were needed this protection in that manner. So she should be given protection by the father, as Vachchalata was also referred to, very good in manner. So she should be given protection by the father in her younger days. When you are a child, as a girl, then your father should be your protector. And by the husband in her youth. When you grow up, when you become an adult, then your husband will take care of you. Okay, and by the grown-up sons in her old age. By the grown-up sons in her old age. So now they will not allow you to free or do your things on your own, but they will just keep you under this four walls like thing, and they will just do the things in the name of protecting the things and the things. So this is proper social behavior. So it is stated by him that this is proper social behavior according to the Manu Samhita. So again, he is referring to the Manu Samhita. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life. So feminism is indirectly this referring to. And so he is also striking this this modern education system like. But modern education has artificially devised a puffed up concept of womanly life, and therefore marriage is practically now an imagination in human society. So how this marriage concept is also taken, like in a way it seems from this argument that Prabhupada might be supporting the marriage system and the feminine system, that women should remain in the closet of one's home. Okay, so it was the thing. And now let us see what feminist, the very fundamental, rather the seminal feminist, Simone de Beauvoir, has to say. So Simone de Beauvoir echoes different in her, The Second Sex, 1949. So it was originally written in French language, and later on it was translated in English language. So The Second Sex, it was the so few here in that she states like few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus. So we all are aware of the myth of Sisyphus, that doing the simple, the common things, monotonous thing all the day. There is no meaning at all. But so few tasks are more like the torture of Sisyphus than housework. So he's even just putting her housework or the woman's housework more painful than the work than the work done by Sisyphus himself. So with its endless repetition, so the endless repetition is there, like the Sisyphus is having this, putting the stone on the zenith of a mountain. At the end or at the evening, the stone will roll down, and he has to do all the things continuously without asking for any meaning. So here with its endless repetition, so it can be connected like women's daily task. So she has to prepare food, she has to make bed, and she has to do so many tasks. So it keeps on happening in a cyclical manner. So there is no scope of something novelty in her life, especially when the marriage institution is there. The clean becomes soil. The soil is made clean. So here this chores, 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 or day-to-day task done by women in the home is referred to it like the clean becomes soil. Okay, whatever is clean is soiled by the house of this hold, or rather those who are dwelling in the house, like husband, son, and all the people are there, other than who's the woman. And the soil is made clean. Now the soil, that whatever is tarnished, that whatever is made inappropriate, will be appropriated by the woman which is living there in the home. The soil is made clean over and over, day after day, over and over, day after day. So it was the thing, and just move. So I have taken some more quotations from The Second Sex by Simone de Beauvoir. So let us read one by one. So the curse which lies upon marriage is that too often the individuals are joined in the weakness rather than in the strength, each asking from the other instead of finding pleasure in giving. So everybody is looking into what happens. This basically this marriage institution are there to generally it is argued that to satisfy your four needs. First is physical need, second one is mental, third one is emotional, and fourth one, especially it falls on the part of women, it is your this financial needs. Because earlier days women were not allowed to go outside, as we saw in this purport of Manu Samhita recently. So they were not allowed to go outside and work for themselves. So they had to be, but not in the shelter of any male or any patriarchal patron. And the second quotation, so it is the allusively reference in that. So it breaks the rules that was proposed by this Manu Samhita here. So to be feminine is to show a second thing. To be
Is it maybe that cable has been disturbed, so it is disconnected probably.
shall I have to share the screen again, sir? Okay.
You share again and then you can
Yes.
continue.
Sir, what was the last point I was referring to? So I can continue from that when I got disconnected. Can anybody say, please? Uh-huh. 9 slides.
Slide शुरू बची
Achha, but I have to share it.
share
Ah. Now it is visible on your screen, or not? Okay, thank you. Slowly. Achha, loading is happening. Speak clearly. Okay, now it is visible, right? So can I continue from this very slide, or should I go previous one? Okay, okay. So thank you, sir. Yes. Okay. So here we were referring to this like to be feminine is to show oneself as weak, futile, passive, and docile. The girl is supposed not only to primp and dress herself up, but also to repress her spontaneity and substitute for it the grace and charms she has been taught by her elder sister. So we were referring to the already, just were having their the women who were having mindset of patriarchal mentality. So it was the elder sisters are referred to them. So like in Indian context, if we find personally observation, if we apply on that, then we will find that people, especially the ladies, are preparing the fellow or the younger ladies to do this home these chores and other things to just please the man or the husband that she is going to marry with. And any self-assertion will take away from her femininity and her seductiveness. So any self-assertion, so she is not self-assertive, that she cannot see that I want this. She has to say, okay, you can take this from me. So these things and how we idealized it in this, like we call them Devi or goddess, because Devi refers to the mother, and once again the mother is supposed to be a giver, not to be an achiever. So in that way we subjugate the female, the feminine identity, especially being in the predominant male, this patriarchal society as the predominant by the male figures. This third quotation is like, woman is shut up in a kitchen or in a bother, and astonishment is expressed. So here this reference that woman is shut up in a kitchen or in a bodo, and astonishment is expressed that her horizon is limited. So as the limitation was seen in this purport by Prabhupada, when he was referring to Manu Samhita, that she should be given protection in different stages of her life. So her wings are clipped, and it is found deplorable that she cannot fly. Let but the future be open to her, and she will no longer be compelled to linger in the present. Okay, so this future will be cut out from her life, and this she will have to linger in the present only. So whatever is given to you, you have to be happy within that. You cannot ask for more, or you cannot just take from less also. So this kind of subjugation or this kind of hierarchical positions are there due to this binary opposition. So why that is why it is called the hierarchy in a miniature. So it is somewhere, it is there. So we have to identify that thing while reading all such things. So it is called, it is the thing that deconstruction does in while criticizing or while interpreting any text. So to catch a husband is an art. To hold him is a job. So here is very kind of catchy sentence like catch a husband is an art. Is an art means you have to be attractive. You have to conform to the standard that a male wants from you. Being a female, that is why then you can catch a husband. You have to be beautiful, or the different standards are there, varying from culture to culture. The beauty standards are there, some other standards are also there, and to hold him is a job, which means like you have to be what he likes to be you, or what he wants you to be like. So to hold him is a job. So it is very catchy sentence, very oft quoted sentence given by Simone de Beauvoir in his The Second Sex book. Okay, then let us move ahead. So it was all about the deconstruction reading, and here are my works cited. Thank you so much. And here I propose the question series also. I'm just sharing. Okay, now questions please now.
Nirav, my question is, do you find any common background in deconstruction and Yale school critics?
Achha, so your question is, can you find or is there any common background in deconstruction or the theory of deconstruction or the thought of that? And Yale school critics, yes, definitely they do share one common idea that was proposed by Sir Jacques Derrida. So the deconstruction theory, as we discussed, in a bit kind of superficially, not very deeply, because there are many sign and play and all the things are involved there. Metaphysics are also there, and many other things are there, like readings are connotative, denotative readings. But here there is a kind of seminal thing, that is the theory upon which this Yale school revolves. Like that is the deconstruction theory there. Okay, so all five have something different, something they vary from one another in several manners, but they all come down when it comes to the deconstruction theory. So whatever they do, they are just referring to, or rather, they are just discussing in favor of this deconstruction theory. That is why this Yale school is considered like this school of deconstruction or American deconstruction. So are you satisfied or want something more? Thank you. The next, please.
Nirav, my question is deconstruction is destruction of any kind of text or work?
Well, so your question is deconstruction is destruction of any kind of text? So yes, definitely it does destruction of any text. Why? Because it breaks the hierarchical. This hierarchical miniature is there in any text. Whenever the binary is proposed in any text, so it destructs. That is why it is called deconstruction, but in a positive way. So it is not just criticizing it or speaking bad word or speaking this asymmetric version of this text also, but it deconstruction in a favor like that it puts or it highlights the hierarchy. What is this? The conflict, this conflict of superiority and inferiority, or the master-slave relations are there. Okay, so the many relations are there. So in that manner, it is destructive while reading the mythical or this structuralized text in that way. So satisfied or not? Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you then. Thank you.
Okay, by the time the next presenter gets ready, uh, there was a very good reference to this Bhagavad Gita shlok in this previous presentation. So there is this a very good resource to check when you make any reference to Bhagavad Gita. This let me share a screen. It's a very interesting resource and various interpretations of the sloks are given. This is Gita Supersite .iitk.se.in. Yes. Gita supersite.iitk.se.in. We have referred to Valmiki, Valmiki's Ramayana on this site, IITK project, iitk.se.in. And this is about Bhagavad Gita. Now, because Bhagavad Gita is widely interpreted in many ways, the beauty of this website is that they have given various translations and commentaries also. Sometimes only translations are not helping in reaching to ancient languages. So we require, along with that, commentaries also on that. And so here, this is the site. Like, for example, this slok, which was referred by Nirav in this presentation, which has so many translations and commentaries. So if you just click on translations and commentary, you find a very long list of Hindi translation and commentary, Sanskrit commentary, English commentary, and they are explaining the word Pap Yoni means what is the reference of Stri here, Vaishya here, Shudra here. Yeah. And so many of the commentators don't agree with the idea that this reference is a derogatory or inferior reference to either women or to Vaishya or to Shudra. That is the kind of a defense is given by many of the readers or commentators, rather, we can say. So, apart from translators who are studied here, commentators are also studied in this. So there is Swami Chinmayanand who also tries to defend that what meaning people give and what is to be given. Or Swami Ram Sukhdas, Hindi commentary by Swami Ram Sukhdas. And he also tries to explain that यहाँ पाप योनि शब्द ऐसा व्यापक है जिसमें असुर, राक्षस, पशु, पक्षी आदि सभी लिए जा सकते हैं. But then he gives a defense about what does women stands in this, or how the other things are there. So it's a very long page where this comes. Some of the normal translations are obviously speaking very clearly about these words, which are very problematic or objectionable also. हे पार्थ स्त्री वैश्य और शूद्र ये जो कोई दिस इज बाय तेजन मायानंद, हिंदी ट्रांसलेशन बाय स्वामी तेजन मायानंद. स्त्री वैश्य और शूद्र ये जो कोई पाप योनि वाले हो. So some of the commentators and interpreters have very clearly said that the people who has committed pap in previous birth, they are born in pap yoni. And what is pap yoni? Pap yoni means women, means Vaishya, means Shudra, means animal, means Asur. That all are the people who has committed something wrong in their previous births. And so this is coming there. But this can be referred whenever you want to make a comment or want to have a very interesting analysis of Bhagavad Gita, then this site can be useful. Some of the interpretations are very much on the side of Bhagavad Gita. And again, you will find many commentators which can help us in doing deconstructive reading of Bhagavad Gita also. Okay, you can share Nilay now.
Hello, I am Nilay Rathod, and for literary criticism paper, I am going to present on a corpus tool for research in digital humanities, that is CLiC Dickens project. So first of all, we will discuss about the definition of digital humanities. So digital humanities, or DH, is an area of scholarly activity at the intersection of computing or digital technologies and the discipline of the humanities. It includes the systematic use of digital resource and in the humanities, as well the analysis of the applications. It defines as a new ways of doing scholarship that involves collaborative, transdisciplinary, computational, engaged research, teaching, and publishing. It brings digital tools and method to study of the humanities with recognition that printed world or is no longer the main medium or the uh, knowledge production and distribution. So Matthew G. Chris Kreisenberg states in his article, "What is digital humanities and what is it doing in English department?" So he says that digital humanities, also known as humanities computing, is a field of study, research, teaching, invention, which is concerned with the intersection and computing in the disciplines of humanities. It is methodological by nature and interdisciplinary in a scope. It involves investigation, analysis, synthesis, and presentation of information in electronic forms. So, as we can uh, come to conclusion by these two words, the digital and humanity, which are opposite in binary. Digital, which is connected to technology, and humanities, which is connected to humans. So there is a one, on the one side there is a humans, and on the other side, on the digital side, we have dehumanization. So, what is corpus linguistics? It is the study of language as the language is expressed in a in its text corpus, plural for corpora. It's a body of real world word text. Corpus linguistics processes that are reliable analysis of a language is more feasible with corpora collected in the field, the natural context of language with minimal experimental interference. The text corpus method uses the body of text written in any natural language or derive the set of abstract rule which govern the language. So, in short, what we are doing in corpus linguistic is we are selecting or copy pasting any word or phrase, and the AI will automatically give us the term or whichever the word we have copy pasted in the website. Corpus linguistic is an area of linguistic that has become possible with arrival of computers. Corpus linguistic use electronic copies text as well as linguistic data that is born digital, blogs, Twitter data, or etc. to study a to study the language. Corpus linguistics is a good example to show how methods develop and enables new perspective and insights. This is the same in other discipline. Insights from corpus linguistics research have a particular impact on teaching English as a foreign language. For instance, dictionaries now tends to focus on the most frequent meaning of the most frequent words. There are many such tools in researching for digital humanities or any other disciplines. So digital humanities scholars conduct research in using range of digital tools, small as a mobile phone or large as virtual reality lab. Tools like DIRT, a digital research tool directory, offers a registry with research tool and for scholar. Text analysis portal for research is a gateway of text analysis and a retrieval tool. ON tool, which is basically free and which requires user to copy and paste either a body of text or a URL and then click the reveal button to run the program. CLiC, Corpus Linguistics in Context. The CLiC Dickens project is demonstrate through Corpus Stylics how computer-assisted method can be used to study literary text and lead to new insights to how readers perceive fictional character. As a part of the project, Birmingham University and Nottingham has developed the web app CLiC, designed specifically for the analysis of literary text, and this analysis mostly include a text of Charles Dickens, but as we can see that it is not bound by the Dickens text, but there are many texts from like children's literature, African American literature, and many other fields. This is the interface of the CLiC website or web app. For searching, we have to go in this side of open dense, so we can see that here. First of all, we have to select the text in the search for the corpora. Like go to click and concordance tab. So in search corpora, we have to select any text. Like we have here David Copperfield, Charles Dickens novel is selected, and then in the subsets all text, there are many divisions like in that long suspense, short suspense, all text, and many others. In the next step, search for the item. So here search for the term. So here we have to type in a term like Mr. Dick is a character of the novel Charles Dickens. So there are many references of Mr. Dick. So we can search here the term Dick in the box and click on the whole phrase or any word. So click on the whole phrase and hit enter. So you will get these results and and we have searched only Dick. So we have not searched on the whole title Mr. Dick. So there will be many pages of these entries. So here we can see that there are showing 229 entries. So this will give you every occurrence in the novel. So that is a very large entries, and we have to short it down. So next we will go to again we will go to concordance column, and on the right side we change the instruction only in the only subsets tab from all text to non quotes. So here you can see previously it was selected all text. So here we are selecting non quotes. So it will narrow down the list of the entries. Next up, we have isolating the reporting clause. In the concordance column on the right, change the instruction in search for terms to said Mr. Dick, and don't forget to put a full stop after Mr. So here you can see that around the third of all occurrence of a narrational mention of Mr. Dick are a reporting of his speech. If you look at your long list, you might also add in other speech verbs such as returned, suggested, rejoined, asked, carry. So here suggested is highlighted on this image. Next up, exploring the narrative comments on the character. So again we are going back to the concordance tab, and here only in substance we are selecting long suspensive. So select the long suspense and hit enter, and it will show the narrow it will narrow down the results. Next up, face and features of the character. Start again by going on the click up concordance tab. In search the corpora, select David Copperfield, which we have selected previously. In only subject all text, we are coming back to all text. In search item, insert Dick. In filter rows, so as we have seen in a previous slide that we have put type in the name Dick. So it has shown us 229 entries. So here in those 229 entries, we are filtering rows just by putting the terms like a hand, face, head, eyes, mouth, or looked, watched, seemed, and many such uh, examples. So we can filter down and narrow down the results. So here we can see that I have put a face, I have put a cried in first image, like a filter rows. I have put cried. So here we can see there are only four entries with the Mr. Dick and the filter of a cried. And then in the next we I have put the type the face in filter rows. So there are only three entries with the node Mr. Dick and the term face. So in that way we can narrow down the our list for researching in this AI based technology or the CLiC project. So CLiC project is not the only available tool, but there are many such project and AI which can give us many such ideas and insights in reading a text. So we don't have to read a hard text, the whole text. And if you are following this technology or AI, so you might have come across the tool or a web which is known as OpenAI. OpenAI is not only able to generate poems, email, or prose like a text, but it is also able to generate code. So this AI also able to create another AI. So we can assume that how powerful AI is becoming comparing to a human being. So these are my works cited. Thank you.
So, have you made any point like how this helps you in reading in a different way than traditional reading? Like you identified face and the reference of faces. So, is it adding any value to the traditional reading of the literary text, or does it make any change in that?
So I have not added in the slides, but it does make change.
That is one of the way of looking that when we add digital humanities or use digital tools to read a literary text, uh, how is it like making any difference to our traditional reading of the literary text?
Nilay, my question is, what is the goal of digital humanities?
So the goal of digital humanities is to uh, come out from the traditional reading of humanities and make it a computational or digital. So we are combining the digital and humanities together, and it is making our process very easier to read a text or for researching.
So, Nilay, my question to you is that can AI or artificial intelligence projects in reading literature replace the traditional mode of reading the text in a form of printed paper? So, can it be replaceable by this new advent of AI mode of reading the literary text, especially the humanities are concerned? Thank you.
So your question is, can AI project in reading literature replace the traditional mode of reading the text in form of printed form? So the simple answer from of that is AI has already replaced the traditional mode of reading literature or printed paper. So it is very easy to use AI in reading text, like I have shown, we have to just put a term, and it will show us the entire entries of how many times it is coming in the text. So it is very easy to read literature from the project AI projects. So thank you.
Okay, for any of these questions about replacement, many times when new things are coming, people are always like asking this question about will it replace the earlier mode of doing the things there, and to what extent that replacement will be useful. So we can keep in mind that it is not always a replacement, but it is replenishment also. It supports also, like, so whatever you are doing in the older way or traditional way, something that is new becomes traditional when the new other things are coming. So in that way, whatever we are doing, perhaps it gets a support with the newer way of doing the things. So when pamphlets were written to spread the news, and after pamphlets, newspapers came. After newspapers, radio came. After radio, television came, and then internet came. But still, the newspapers are there, a written form of news, and sometimes those pamphlets, which converted into journals and magazines, they became more authentic now with the advancement of television, media channels, and internet. Now people rely more on the print rather than the digital. So it is not replacing, but it is supporting. Earlier there were no radio channels or no television channels for the news. Today we have hundreds of, and yet newspapers do exist. So that way, also we can see that when new things come, it comes to support or replenish. It adds value to what is done in a traditional mode. Things are replaced also when we traditionally see that normally people were walking when they were transporting, or they were moving from one place to another. Then people were using bullock carts or horse carts or camel carts. Today also horse carts, bullock carts, they exist, but normal mode of communication is not that. And normally people would prefer public transport system, trains, buses are used instead of those things. So in that way, things are get replaced also because people find a better alternative. Till then, it supports and simultaneously keeps on moving there.
Hello everyone. Today is the fourth day of our presentation. My presentation topic is Marxist feminist theory. This is my personal information. Introduction. Marxist feminist is a precious of feminist theories and a politics that takes it theoretical bearings from Marxist. No, notably, the criticism of capitalism as a set of structures, practice, institution, and incentives and a sensibility that promote the exploitations of labor, the alienations of human beings, and disablement of freedoms. Marxist feminism is a reluctant of threat. Human is a stand-alone group with a similar inherent and aspirations. Marxist feminism thus distances itself from other modes of feminist thought and politics by attending critically and systematically or the economics organization of societies, including the stratifications along the lines of class by refusing to accord the category of human separate and special status without regards of class by its commitment in the overhaul of capitalism and by its elegance of working class and improvising human. What is the Marxist feminist theory? Marxist feminists are feminists whose all themselves with the philosophical and economic theories of Karl Marx, who discovered of economic laws underlying capitalism and wrote about them in his masterpiece Capital. In this and other works of Karl Marx and his lifelong collaborator Friedrich Engels laid the foundation of Marxist economic, the philosophy of concept, the dialectic materialism of the method of social analysis known as historical materialism. Feminism is a term used very widely in a recent time and is defined as conditions being the change over the year of accommodate and changing needs of society. It essentially refers to any movement or a given set of movement to protect the and uphold the various social, political, economic, or cultural rights of human and provide them with equal opportunity or progress. What is the we are discuss about the four critic on the feminist theory. The first is Karl Marx. Marx show how the working class is exploited for a profit by capitalists who gain wealth by paying workers as a bar minimum of the value of their products. Marxist feminists view the capitalist drive of profit as responsible for human second class status and other forms of oppression such as racism and homophobia. Prejudice and privilege also aid the ruling class by inhibiting workers from organizer to gators. Women workers are exploited as a higher level than a males, and with the human colors are suffering of highest degree of exploitations because the gender and race are a discrimination. The next, the Friedrich Engels. Friedrich Engels did play a more attention of the issue of his working in the year after Marx died in 1884. Engels published The Origin of the Family and Private Property and the State, Unit 1970s, when Marxist feminist approach began to be developed. He provided the main outline of the Marxian approach to the operation of human and the equalities within the family and the household. For Engels, the patriarchal family emerged with the development in agriculture, where males began to develop of private property in animals, tools, and land, and attention to the control of more and surplus. And Engels also implied that males and female equalities within the working class and a minimal. The Margaret of Benstone is a Marxist feminist study. She says about the Marxist feminist study, the political economy of the women's liberation emphasizes the value of the unpaid labor of women performed within the family. This labor, which sustain the current labor force and nurtures the next generations, come at no cost to the owners of the means of production. Additionally, the responsibility of the male breadwinner to support his wife and children, fetters his ability to withdraw his labor power and defense of his class inherence. In so doing, helps reinforce the inequitable capitalist economic and systems. The Rosemary Tongues. He wrote about his book of feminist thoughts. As Rosemary Tongue notes in her book Feminist Thought, a comprehensive introduction, Marxist feminists identify how work shape consciousness and human work shapes her status and self-image. Therefore, Marxist feminists are primarily concerned with the division of labor that keeps a woman in a domestic shape and a family and man in her workplace. Human position within the family may help to explain the problem of developing working class and consciousness, as with the exchange relationship in a general in a capitalism. Underlying this extremely equal exchange relationship and power of is a relationship. She wrote about his book in first class, The Labor Class and the Woman. The first and half, Rosemary Tongue's chapter on Marxist feminism, lay out the basic of Marxist theory in a genre. She then goes to draw connection between Marxist ideology and feminist thought. Marxist theory attempts to explain the structure of modern industrial society with a special emphasis on class and labor. Marxist feminists are primarily connected with the division of a labor that keeps of human and domestic shape and man and workplace. In addition to this, when women to enter the workforce and are related to job and they are deemed applause for their gender and are usually the unpaid of their work. The second part of the Marxist and the socialist feminism. The latter of half this chapter discussed the critique and response made on Marxist feminism. Jane Beth Elstein is concerned that many Marxist feminists undervalue of the family in a capitalist context. Marxist feminism responds that they are a complete agreement that the family should be privileged, but the family as an economic until should be destroyed with capitalism. Third, the feminist question about the Marxist theory. The first question is the role of domestic labor. The first in discussing how to determine the value of labor power, Marx continually referred to the average laborers, a concept which the interchangeable with that the average of male adults and thought of admits that the employed of these different sort are labor power. And also Marx explained how the individual worker exchanges his wage against the means of subsistence and he supplied himself with the necessary in order to maintain his labor power. The second question, the reproduction of the species and the main dominations. The second major area of omissions in the Marxist theory is the absence of an analysis of the reproduction of the species and the physical, psychological, and emotional caring for children, their socialization and education, and the reproduction of the social relation within which the capitalism operation. Since the Eagle stand 100 years ago that according to the materialistic conception of determining factor in his history is the final instance, the production is a reproduction of a imitation of life. A final example of a omission of Marxist theory, which we would like to underline, it is the total absence of analysis of system and domination, means or human. The third question is a private, the secure of human operation, but Marxism is not completely silent about the human operation. Marxists recognize the sexual division of the working class and see as an obstacle to the unity of workers. Unfortunately, their solution is still the same one of was the forward by Eagles and 100 years ago. Eagles believed that the primitive society there was no equality between the sexes rather than was a natural division or labor but did not lead the form of explanation or operation. a Marxist feminist theory in the current time. In the current time, Marxist feminist theory acts as a tool to understand the relation between the social order and human labors and the ownership of property. In the current times, this becomes even more important because the number of working women is increased and there are need to facilitates their work and life balance. In the current time, the feminist movement put forward demands for the development of a political system under which human liberation, class politics, issue of gender identity, and sexual reference to given a paramount importance. This is what Marxist feminists directly emphasize. It has inspired the current feminist movement, which demanded in the liberation of human and all economics as well as a racial aspect. In India, Marxist feminists hold a lot of relevance of removing the perception of the gender-specific roles given to male and females in society is reduced the employment opportunity available to the women in the labor of market. However, Marxist feminists force on the identification of reproductive labor, but nowhere did the Marx mention how to achieve it. Still, India is a humans work at home is a considered inferior in they have no economic independence. They are dependent on the economics of their husband would be a threat and their husband within and fashion. Yet in several other countries, in influence of his theory has been quite positive, just such it as like Ukraine, Russia, and USA. Hence, it is a far to say that the relevance of Marxist feminist theory is not a decline in the current era growing of feminism such in India. The last we say that the Marxist feminist theory is, despite all his throwback, proud to be a vital and inherent since the revolt among the human find and their rights. Thank you. This is my work site.
Nidhi, is class system an obstacle for feminism? If yes, then how does it affect feminism?
Yes, the class system. Yes, class system is a obstacle for feminism because we are facing many times issue about the feminism in current time we change about it but not not success in a proper way so this this idea is effect on feminism.
So Nidhi, first my question is you is that concerning the Marxist feminism concept that you have referred to in your slides, should there be any rule structure in division of labor for males and females? So can there be any rule? I mean, what I want to tell you is that can there be any rules like females in this concerning this concept of Marxist feminism? Then females have to do only these things, and males have to do only these things. So if yes, so on what grounds and why? And if no, then why there is no need of that? So please elucidate that. Thank you.
Yes, according to me, this is yes. Okay, any rules of structure in division of labor of males and females that is we find in my slide that if a human should in work in their office or anyway, so they rules of their office also and in house also and if a in according to
place. A men male are working in the office, so they work in office only, not at the in work. They are rules.
So by the time she is sharing the screen, uh, so these last two questions were not answered properly. So Nidhi, you need to think of that when a question is raised to you, and if you think that you are not able to justify that, carry the question home and try to think about it, or try to Google and find answer, or try to see that how that answer can be properly answered. That also you have to keep in mind. So whenever the question is asked, and if you think you're not able to justify it, think about that question.
Good morning, everyone. Today is the fourth day of our presentation. My topic is eco-criticism theory. Introduction. Eco-criticism is a broader way for literary and cultural scholars to investigate the global ecological crisis through the interaction of literature, culture, and the physical environment. Eco-criticism expanded as a widely used literary and cultural theory by the early 1990s with the information of the Association for the Study of Literature and Environment at the Western Literary Eco-criticism is often used as a catch-all term for any aspect of the humanities addressing ecological issue, but is a primarily function as a literary and cultural theory. Father of eco-criticism, the term eco-criticism was coined in the 1978 by William Ruttert in his essay Literature and Ecology. An experiment is eco-criticism. It takes an interdisciplinary point of view by analysis the works of authors, researchers, and poets in the context of environment issue and nature. What is eco-criticism? Eco-criticism is the interdisciplinary study of the connection between literature and the environment. It draws on contribution for the natural scientists, writers, literary critics, anthropologists, and histories in examine the difference between nature its cultural construction. Eco-criticism emerged in the 1960s with the start of the environmental movement and the publication of Ralph Carson's Silent Springs in 1962, but really began to take off in the 1980s. So far, there have been two waves of eco-criticism, the first in the 1980s and the second in the 1990s. Characteristic of eco-criticism. Eco-criticism is the study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. The first person to use the term appears to have been William Ruckert in 1978. His main purpose is doing so was to uh, suggests that ecological term and concept can usually be applied to the study of literature. This, however, is not the dominant meaning of the term. It tends to be interpreted more loosely as a general term for the study of the relationship between literature and the natural environment. Key points. In ecocriticism, nature is the center, not the man. It is the study of literature and physical environment. It is an earth-central approach to the literary study. Ecocritical man is the ultimate villain. Ecocriticism says that we all are equal. The main purpose is to protect the earth. First and second waves. The first wave emphasized writing about nature as both a field of study as a meaningful practice. It maintained the distinction between human and nature, but promoted the value of nature and the need to speak and stand up for nature. People believe it was the duty of the humanities and the natural scientists together to raise awareness and come up with a solution for the environmental and climate critics. The second waves explained upon the first bordering the creatures of environmentalism. Ecocritics of these waves redefined the term environment to include both nature and urban areas and challenge to distinction between human and non-human, and the nature and the non-nature. These waves also lead to the injustice movement by examining the way that the poorest and most oppressed member of the population fall victim to the most adverse effect of climate change and environmental degradation. Different type of eco-criticism: pastoral, wilderness, ecofeminism. Pastoral, found primarily in British and American literature, focus on the dichotomy between urban and rural life, often idealism nature and rural life and demonizing urban life. There are three branches of pastoral eco-criticism: classical, romantic, and American. Wilderness examines the way in which the wilderness is construction value and engage with. There were two branches of wilderness eco-criticism: Old World and New World. Old World portrayed the wilderness as a scary, threatening place beyond the borders of civilization, as a place of exile. Ecofeminism analyzes the connection between the domination of women and the domination of nature, usually by men. It draws parallels between woman and nature, which is often seen as feminine, fertile, and property of man. Ecofeminism also includes other aspects of environmental justice, such as racial environmental justice. There are two branches of ecofeminism. This works.
Nehal, how eco-criticism is dealt by eco-critics or ecologists or and literary writers.
Nature, eco-criticism is a nature, physical, environmental.
My question is, how is eco-criticism different from other literary criticism?
Eco-criticism, eco-criticism is different. Other literary criticism like non.
So Nehal, my question is how is eco-criticism different from other literary criticism?
Ecocriticism different from other literary criticism like human and non-human, nature and non-nature is ecocritical theory.
When you connect with mobile, properly locate your camera. It's not proper. Everything is moving. You are touching. So you have to make it stable. Because other students are watching semester one, and they will say that this is what our seniors are doing, and this is allowed. So we also will do in that. So you will give a bad example to the people who are watching that how to keep your mobile camera in a proper way. So be careful about everything that you are doing here. Don't take anything loosely or lightly.
Hello everyone. This is our fourth day's presentation and paper name Contemporary Western Theories and Film Studies. Today my topic was Marxism in Bollywood movies. My personal information: what is Marxism? The political, economic and social principles and policies advocated by Marx. Personal information of Karl Marx was born in 1818 and he was the ninth child, and for his career study at law and philosophy at university in Bonn and Berlin. It was a doctoral thesis was in ancient philosophy, comparing the philosophies of nature and Democritus and Epicurus. From early 1842 he embarked on a career as a radical journalist, contributing to and editing several papers. Karl Marx is often treated as a revolutionary and activist rather than a philosopher. Was a works inspired the foundation of many communist and regiments the 20th century. The Marx of philosophical anthropology, his theory of history and economic analysis, is a critical engagement with a contemporary capitalist society and ideology. Marxism. Marx inherited the terms from French philosopher of the late 18th century. This French philosopher influenced many critic, philosopher, and thinker who used to designate it the study of way that all general concepts developed from the particular sense of uh, perfections. In the present era, ideology is used in a variety of non-Marxist way, and some of the some many peoples are not like the Marxist idea, because he was considered that remove the class system and make everyone equal. Friedrich Engels and Marx both are work on this Marxism theory describe the ideology as a false consciousness, and many later Marxists consider it to be constituted largely by unconscious prepositions that are illusory, in a contrast to the scientific knowledge of the economic determinates historical evolution and present constitution of the social world. Capitalist mode of production justified and naturalized itself toward the certain patterns of thought and exploitative economic relations of the factory are carried over into a social realm. The economics based influence the social superstructure. Classes are basic unit in a social conflict. Class membership is defined by the ownership or a lack of ownership, the means of production. The working class is made up of those who share their labor power. The capitalist class of those that are pursued the labor power. In oppressed classes, however, believe in this equality as a natural, preordinated, and do not have or recognize that they are oppressed. Like upper class are uh, dominated a lower class, and lower class think that because of their birth, because of their karma, they are suffering from that. In this Mother India movies song line, दुनिया में हम आए हैं तो जीना ही पड़ेगा, जीवन है अगर तो जहर पीना ही पड़ेगा. He was she was after his husband's death, and their land was occupied one upper class, or we can say a bania was a owner of that land. Actually, this land was her husband, but taking some money, he was become an owner of that. And after her husband's death, they have even they she was not having any facility of bull for her time, so she can carry a whole farm. She was with us a very young child. She was carried the, I forgot in English, but I am say that in Gujarati it was a it was a hull that for the land she was carry, and she was a song. First example was Bollywood movie is a Coolie, and you can see that poster is also a Marxist symbolism. In 1983, a Coolie movie, Iqbal was a protagonist of this movie, and he was continuously fight with upper class people, and Coolie as a labor. He was a fight with upper class, and also we interpret this movie with communalism also. On that time, he was as a Muslim hero, and uh, director I think show that Hindu Muslims are bhai bhai, and two famous dialogue of this movie. कोई माई का लाल किसी को दो वक्त की रोटी नहीं नहीं दिला सकता, क्योंकि रोटी दिलाने वाला वो मालिक है जिसने हर इंसान को दो हाथ दिए हैं और कहा है कि चीर दे जमीन का सीना और निकाल ले अपने हिस्से की रोटी. That was also as a labor. He was a thing that as a birth he was suffering from that, and if he was not trying hard and hard, he was not capable for a one time food also. And another dialogue, अमीरों ने तो कुछ भी बनाया है तो रिश्वत के बलबूते पर बनाया है. कोई 10 रुपए में वोट खरीद लेता है, 100 रुपए में कोई अपनी अर्जी पास करवा लेता है, 1000 रुपये देकर कोई अपने इम्तिहान पास कर लेता है, लाखों रुपए देकर ये लोग अपने टेंडर पास करवा लेते हैं. अरे मैं तो कहता हूँ सबसे पहले इन रिश्वतखोरों को फेल करो, तब जा करके ये मुल्क पास होगा. It was not from 1980s. It was also relevant in today's time, because corruption are most or a big problem of India, and upper class are they want and they get power of wealth. And in this movie, not only upper class and lower class conflict, but also that upper class was trying to occupy their land uh, with the name of development. In now our time, it was also a government doing these same things. Uh, Name of development, they are occupied land, uh, fertile land for uh, agriculture. And second example of Mother India. Mother India reflects a lot on a time in India in a post-independence. The film, in a sense, portrayed woman empowerment as the lead character is a mother who never gives up her moral code despite being exposed to a multiple trials. And also this movie was one a writer, I forgot that name, but she was criticized India. And the director of this movie director of this movie trying to say that our Indian women are capable for everything. And the two famous dialogue, मैं इसे ये फसल नहीं ले जाने दूंगा, हमने ये बैल बनकर ये जमीन बोई है, पसीने से खेत सींचे है. Mother India, protagonist female, and her both young son are making that land good for agriculture. And after that, their Safal was growing up, then Banya come and tell that I am taking all your Safal, and I'm give you a less money. And another dialogue from his husband, सुखी लाला अगर कुत्ता भी पाल लेगा तो उसके गले में भी सोने की जंजीर डालेगा. We know that upper class have very costly pets. In a great example of Ambani, they have many farm of animals and costly horses they have. And another Roti Kapda or Makan was not clearly related with Marxism idea, but was clearly said and unemployment. And Manoj Kumar as a Bharat, he was we can say that a right winger. And Indira Gandhi's 1967 election speech, she was give the phrase Roti Kapda and Makan. For that they are making this movie. And the famous dialogue, I would like to say that because of unemployment in India nowadays, नौकरी मिले तो डिग्री डिग्री, नहीं तो सब बिगड़ी बिगड़ी. मेरी जन्म पत्री में कुंडली ये डिग्री है, और इसकी किस्मत में कितने राहु और कितने केतु है ये कोई ज्योतिष नहीं बता सकता. And unemployment in India is nowadays also we current example of one young man who suicide for that government job. Conclusion, this representation of Marxism with Bollywood movies of a newly independent India. After some time or a time of Shah Rukh Khan, he made Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, Dilwale Dulhania, and every many of that movies, Ishq, प्यार किया तो डरना का, प्यार किया तो डरना क्या, this kind of movies, they are trying to erase class conflict with marriage, with love. In Kabhi Khushi Kabhi Gum, Shah Rukh Khan was love and marriage with her maid who was work in their house. और प्यार किया तो डरना क्या, Salman Khan was a lead role, and Kajol was from the middle class people. Or one man who was just a farmer, she was her sister. And Ishq, fourth caste, Amir Khan, Juhi Chawla, Kajol, and Ajay Devgan. Ajay Devgan and Juhi Chawla belongs to the upper class. Kajol and Amir Khan belongs to the lower class. And the class conflict, and both Ajay Devgan's father and Juhi Chawla's father, both are gave them a proposal to take money or property than our children's, because they are born and brought up in upper class, so they can marry in only upper class. In these movies example only for Bollywood cinema, in a practical lives this is not happen. We know that Ambani is in-laws of Bansal and Adani's in-laws of Ambani and Bansals. They are never ever love or marriage or erase the class conflict. This is my work citation. Thank you.
So, Mayuri, my question is what is the main focus of Marxist film theory?
Okay. Uh, because of films, lower class people also know that this is the wrong with us. This is the Marxist theory. They are not some of they are educated, but all laborers are not highly educated. But by the cinema, they can aware of that Marxism, or how they are suffer from these upper class people.
Mayuri, what are the elements of Marxism theory?
Marxism theory elements are class conflict, feminism, or gender role, and many other things are included in Marxist theory.
Hello everyone. Today our fourth day of presentation. My topic is about ecocritical analysis of Wordsworth, Tintern, Abbey. Introduction. Though eco-criticism as a literary theory is of a recent origin, the elements of it are found in the work of several writers in the earlier period, Romanticism. In this regarded, is an embodiment of the rudiments of eco-criticism. The Romantic poets attempt to rediscover the mystery and wonder of the world and try to establish a meaningful relationship between literature and nature. To them, nature as the principal source of inspiration and spiritual enlightenment. William Wordsworth, who belongs to the first generation of the Romantic poets, is considered to be the nature poet who viewed nature as a living entity and who believed that nature was endowed with feeling and purpose. Uh, Dincher said that Wordsworth was first and foremost a philosophical thinker, a man whose intention and purpose it was to think out for himself faithfully and seriously the question concerning man and nature are human life. What is eco-criticism? Glodfelty, in his introduction to the Eco-Criticism Reader, 1996, an anthology of American eco-criticism, defined eco-criticism as the study of the relationship between literature and the physical environment. Ecocriticism takes an earth-centered approach to literary studies. Ecocritics tie their culture analysis to green moral and political agenda. Ecofeminists, social ecologists, and environmental justice advocates seek a synthesis of environmental and social concerns. Ecocritic is critical analysis of Wordsworth, Tintern, Abbey. Criticism examine environmental issue which includes the causes for ecological degradation, the answer to which are found in ecocritical analysis of Wordsworth poem Tintern, Abbey. In this regarded knowledge to the historical source for the ecological ruin will enlighten and the ecocritical regarding of the poem. These are the following sources of ecological crisis. The source of ecological crisis, first is the classical Greek humanism. The classical Greek humanism emphasized in inherent superiority of humans over the other species and defined man as a rational animal. The Greeks held that humans, in virtue of rational capacities, have a kind of worth greater than that of any non-rational being. Second is that Cartesian dualism, another tradition which seems to be the basis of human superiority over animals and other non-human beings, is the Cartesian dualism of soul and body. In the opinion of Descartes, human being have soul while animals do not have. Third one is the Judeo-Christian concept of the great chain of being. This is another major source of human superiority. Judeo-Christian teachings proclaim that humans are superior to animals and plants because of the higher place given to them by God on the great chain. God is the top of the chain, and the second is angel. Angel is higher than human, and then last is human in this Judeo-Christian chain concept. Fourth is anthropocentrism and androcentricism, the ecofeminism. The ecofeminism blames that endocentric dualism of man and woman. The anthropocentric dualism distinguishes human from nature of possession of an immortal soul and rationality, and assume that this distinction concerns superiority upon humans. A note on historic Tintern Abbey, which stand as a ruined building, was established in 1131 by Walter Richard de Clay, the Earl of Chipstow, on the banks of the River Way in Monmouthshire, which is located in Wales, United Kingdom. Henry Third, in order to obtain a divorce from his first wife, Catherine of Aragon, wanted to get himself away from the authority of the Pope. This led him to convert England from Catholicism to
to Protestantism. Consequently, all monastic communities were dissolved and most of their buildings were destroyed. The monks of Tintern Abbey were ordered to leave, and their monastery was demolished and left us as a ruin. This abbey was the inspiration behind Wordsworth's poem Tintern Abbey, or lines composed a few miles above Tintern Abbey, which is considered to be one of the greatest romantic poems in English language. Rudiments of ecocriticism in Wordsworth, Tintern Abbey, solution to the ecological crisis. The poem Tintern Abbey as an eco-critical work. It was as described by one of the Wordsworth biographers. Tintern Abbey is a landscape poem in the 18th century tradition. Landscape is a symbolic of the environment or nature, and poetry is an important genre of literature. The very fact that Tintern Abbey is a landscape poem shows cases that it is an eco-critical work which establishes a rationale between nature and literature. The sign of the demarcation in the poem. There are elements of demarcation in the poem Tintern Abbey which can be given an eco-critical touch. First is nature versus culture, and fruitful life of the city versus peace of the wild, natural as a symbol of harmony. The three stages of Wordsworth's attitude to nature in the light of eco-criticism. As various critics have pointed out, Wordsworth's attitude to nature in his Tintern Abbey can be categorized into three stages, such as boyhood, youth, and stage of transformation, which can be looked at from an eco-critical point of view. A stage of childhood or body, the stage of avidya, it's called ignorance. Wordsworth at the stage of childhood, which is also regarded as the stage of body, was ignorant of the value of nature and therefore did not realize and appreciate its beauty and worth. At this stage, he had only the perception of the scenic beauty of nature, and therefore nature did not influence his mind. During 1970, observes that William Wordsworth thought throughout the poem Tintern Abbey attempts to convey that mind of man half creates what is sees, and that the word of eye and ear depends for the revelation of this beauty and order to the activate of the observing mind. The stage of youth and stage of mind. The stage of youth is a stage of mind. In his youth, which is regarded as a stage of mind, Wordsworth was captivated by the external beauty or nature, the colors and forms of nature. His contacts with nature had mellowed him and made him feel for the suffering of his fellow beings. The stage of transformation, the stage of is the stage of intellect, the experience of the one underlying principle. The third stage of his life is a stage of transformation or the stage of intellect, wherein Wordsworth being to rationalize why he should feel for the suffering of his fellow human beings. This is a line from the Tintan Obe. He said that in this line, according to Geoffrey Hartman, a sentence from Tintan Abbey may start with the first person, yet end of all things, that which moved the poet sometimes, somewhere as a personal feeling, is the principle which animates the word. Wordsworth's antagonistic attitude towards the anthropocentric approach. The classical Greek humanism, Cartesian dualism, and the Judeo Christian concept of the great chain of being and anthropocentricism have emphasized the superiority of the human over nature. This feeling of superiority and domination is the major cause of the environmental degradation. The reward for love of nature. Wordsworth marvelously portrays the rewards offered by nature if humanity loves it. In this line, Wordsworth realized that unlike human beings, nature will never betray the heart that loved her. Hence, if human beings suffered nature from all man-made dangers and all environment hazard, it return guard nurse and guard them. That conclude that Wordsworth through the poem Tintern Abbey has shown a way to establish a better world and better life, and has to, taught how a close relationship with nature could be created in order to give birth to peaceful and harmonious life in the world. This is my references.
Khushboo, can you find any Indian movement or event which is related with eco-criticism?
Yes, Chipko Andolan is is related with eco-criticism. It has been happen for a trees by saving for cutting Chipko Andolan.
Khushboo, what is Wordsworth's concept of eco-criticism nature?
he he views nature as a source of a, a source of love, a perpetual joy, then ed- ed- knowledge and spirituality. He thinks nature and God, nature and God becomes one for him, and he thinks uh, that nature is a universal spirit to guiding anyone to be like guided by her.
Good afternoon, everyone. In today's presentation on contemporary Western theories and film studies, I'm going to read the Gauri Shinde's film English Winglish. In today's paper, we will go with the introduction of the movie, study of few slates from the movie, feminist perspectives in the movie, and language, nationalism, and the homosexuality, which are as a minor discussion in the movie. Beginning with the introduction, English Winglish is a 2012 Bollywood film. It is a comedy drama and written and directed by Gauri Shinde. This movie was a debutant as a director for Gauri. The star is Shri Devi, and she came in this movie after the 15 years. After the last movie she did was Judai, and she is working as a small entrepreneur and making snacks. Shashi the name of Sri Devi in the movie is Shashi, and her husband is Satish. She enrolls in an English speaking course to stop her husband and daughter mocking her lack of English skills and gains self respect in the process. For this movie, Shinde was inspired by her own mother. We will begin with the study of sleds. What we know that camera speaks more than what speaks more through its movement. When we are reading any literary work or any story, three lines is used to describe the scenario or the situation. That there is a tree, it is a sunset time, these people are there, this is happening, someone is waking up, someone is sleeping. Words and sentences are used, while in the movies or any a movie, short film, or any documentary, a camera speaks more. So I'm comparing few slates from the movie which are repeated. So here the very first frame where the protagonist is tying hair is when she is waking up and doing and is ready to do a household work for the family members, and she is tying her hair is like a symbol. It can be read as a symbol that she is tying her desires and admires and going to work for the family members. While the next scene, while in the slate which is below that first slate, is when the protagonist was in the New York, and she was there. She was alone there without family members, and the morning which she is getting is fresh. Her hairs are open. She is waking up, and on that day she is waking up for herself. She is happy because she was going to go for an English learning class. The next slate on the right hand side, the protagonist is reading an Hindi newspaper. She is getting two papers at home, newspapers, English and Hindi, and she is reading Hindi. Well, when she went to New York, she got a desire that she should learn English so that others don't make her feel inferior, and others are her own family members. And in the next screen, she is reading newspaper, that is English newspaper, and spending time with herself because she is alone. There is no one for whom she has to take care of. These are the the frame of adapting a new culture. In the first frame is of a movie, where when the protagonist is visiting a cinema to watch a movie, she is seeing this scene where English movie, they are going for an English movie, and the heroine in the movie is dressing herself with a coat, and the very next day in a song, as she is adapting a new English culture, she is also dressing herself with a coat and is trying to adapt a culture of New York surrounding what she is watching. And the next, on the right hand side, we see that the husband and wife are in the mall. They went for a shopping. We are studying camera angles. We see that when a woman is talking, the camera is from the shoulder is angled on the shoulder of a husband. That is, he is standing in an upper position, and so the female protagonist, has to see upwards in upper direction, which shows that she is inferior, and to whom she is talking is superior to her. And look, vice versa with the protagonist, male protagonist. We are saying that when he is replying, he is looking down in a downward direction. Camera angle is in a lower direction, which shows that he is talking to someone who is inferior to him. Then here, the first slate about asymmetry, we see that female protagonist and the person with a tie, that is who is standing, Indian person, is are in same symmetry, in same height, and the other who is a white-skinned person is in another symmetry, which shows that he is opposing the idea which is shared by these two person. And another is the high angle long shot is about how in this New York, a place like New York, which has such a long and heightened buildings, the protagonist is trying hard to have that culture, but in this long place, you will always be a smaller subject or an element which cannot run so fast as the New York is running. Here is a montage scene in the movie. You will not get a voice, but just as an example that how this montage scene is. The protagonist is for the first time going into New York on a foreign land for the first time, that too alone, having the flight alone, in spite she is not knowing an English language. She is feeling a lot of inferiority talking to white men and looking at the white men. But when she goes there, she meets her relatives and how they are introducing or going in a New York, that is a Manhattan city, and the whole how their their roaming in the Manhattan city is shown through the montage scene. So now in the movie, we will look at the feminist perspective. This is one of the can be considered to be one of the progressive movie where the lead role is done by a female, and as we have discussed, as my yesterday's presentation also said about the idea of Simone de Beauvoir in the second sex, that situations and character of a woman depends on the situations created by the man. It is not her own choice or her faults or her fallings. And this is seen in this movie also, that the lack of technical training like men and do not deal with practical matters, exposure and experience, which is reinforced by the women's household activities. And because the female protagonist was not getting exposure, in spite she was having a small business which she was running being at home, but in the movie we see various times that a husband is making her feel inferior, that तुम लड्डू बनाने के लिए ही पैदा हुई हो, मेरी बीवी लड्डू बनाने के लिए ही पैदा हुए. Such type of dialogues are seen from the husband's character, which shows that we see that domestic violence is not only which is done physically, emotionally and psychologically also there is a domestic violence which is seen in this movie. Firstly, there is no financial inequality between equality between them. She is earning but not as her husband is, so her work is not valued by husband or family members. Her cooking is appreciated but the earning and is not appreciated. And now and then she is belittled by the family members, even by his children. The Shashi conformed to society. Satish and Shashi conform to the society's expected gender roles. They can be considered as the perfect gender roles which we see in this society. Manon has said that the feminist perspective reorganizes that the hierarchical organizing of the world around gender is a key of maintaining social order. That to live lives marked male and female is to live different realities. In this movie, we see variety of binaries like male and female, masculinity and femininity, inferiority versus superiority. Shashi has a right traditional approach to modernity and it never eclipses over Indianness or Western moral. In the movie, we will see that she is going to New York and trying to adapt a new English culture. But yet, she will not leave her Indianness. She is wearing a sari throughout the movie, and there is Mangal Sutra always with her. She is not leaving the Indianness which she is having. Shashi is coming out from the cage of that ideal woman, ideal mother, and ideal wife. In the movie, there comes a situation where she is having her classes and her family came to New York to surprise her. She was not surprised, she was shocked because all her freedom was going to be stopped or banned. Then she lied and went to the classes, and in that duration her child got hurt. And everyone, like her husband, blamed to Shashi that is this the way, or this is an ideal woman? She is breaking the cage, but somewhere she is feeling guilty about it. This movie is also giving a new modern Indian women to the society. Here the question is Spivak asking that the essay of Spivak, that can the subaltern speak, gives a sentence: white men are saving brown women from brown men. In this movie also, Shashi is having a friend Laurent from France, and they meet in an English class. Here he is now and then forcing, or in a way helping, Shashi to grow for herself. He is appreciating her, and that appreciation was never received by Shashi before, by family members or by any of the relatives. And so this is helping her to grow. So in a way, the white man came to save a brown woman so that she can grow and doesn't get caged. Here in the movie, we see that Laurent and Sashi are sometimes talking in their own native language. French, he is speaking in French, and Sashi will be speaking in Hindi. They are communicating, but in their native language. They are not understanding, but they are enjoying their conversation. That at least their feelings are relieved. In spite her husband and they share the same language, Hindi, they don't communicate, and the question on the institution of marriage is raised, that where is equality and where is that conformity in between both of them. Here the question of language, we know, here we feel that the movie is making fun on English language, but it is also in a way showing both the side of the coins, that English is necessary if one wants to communicate all over the world. The class of English is also showing the showing unity in diversity. We see that all the classmates are from various, someone is from Africa, someone is from French, Bengali, and variety of people are there who are there to learn English because they want to earn in New York, in Manhattan. Here we see that when our professor is teaching them English, they are asking such a questions that which we also feel that English is such a complex language. When they were learning vowels, and sir taught them that A, E, I, O, U, and you will use A and N. Then the lady with name Eva said that, and Eva, then it becomes difficult for the non-English people to understand such a complex language. Then yes, the importance is also seen, and the songs it has, about a Manhattan song is there in this movie, which is and the in a way it is using a English language. They are converting Manhattan as a man as admi, hat as topi, and tan. Tan means what we get due to sun rays, and they are using like admi topi wo धूप की छाप. And this way a song is written, which can be also said as a fun made of an English language. And in the title itself, it is English Winglish. We generally use the in our native language, cha ba pivi che, and the same way English Winglish. And even the title song is having coffee, waffy, sugar, wooger, paper, vapor, news, views. And where the English is made fun of and given a pun, like use English and trying to involve our native language and trying to make English as our own language. The movie is going in a full circle, which began that when a protagonist Sashi was not able to speak a word jazz. Instead of jazz, she spoke jazz, and it was like Chas and her child and her husband himself was making his her fun. And from that moment to the end of the movie, when Shashi is giving a beautiful speech on the marriage wedding ceremony of her nephew. Then, as looking at the theme of nationalism, when Shashi is going to have a ticket at the airport and a white or a visa, I forgot, and the white man is asking about how are you gonna manage in your country if you don't know English. And here to just to balance between, it seems like the director doesn't want to make India or Hindi language feel inferior, and so he is trying to balance between these two things. And the another Indian employee comes and says that like you are managing in our country without Hindi. And also in the when they are learning vowels, so she is asking the question that why we are not using the India and we are using the USA. It is an obvious answer in this, but through this dialogue they are trying to show that India is not an inferior in comparison to USA or any English language. Mostly in the in that class of English, we see that mostly the students belong to the colonies, like a Mexican nanny, that was Eva, then Pakistani cab driver, then Chinese hairstylist, a Tamil software engineer, an African Caribbean man, and of Lawrence from the France. It seems like the colonies, and here also we see the binary of inferior and superior. The colonies are inferior and they need to learn. It seems a binary in the class that colonies who were colonized are inferior and they need to learn something from superior who were colonizing them, and so they are learning from a white skinned David Fisher who is their instructor, and all the classmates are inferior to them. Another theme which is seen is of homosexuality. It is of about 2 minutes of scene. There is nothing more about it. Their instructor is a gay, and that was not known by everyone. One of the classmates came to know, and they were discussing that David had a breakup with his partner, and then someone commented that वो gay में चलता रहता है, ये नहीं तो वो, means making fun of the homosexuality. In that time, Sashi, our protagonist, says that हम सब अलग है. तुम्हारे लिए डेविड सर नॉर्मल नहीं है, शायद डेविड सर के लिए तुम नॉर्मल नहीं हो, मगर दिल तो दिल है, दर्द तो दर्द ही है. And through this, they were trying to handle homosexuality very sensibly and in a way indicating that this change is necessary in the society. And and when this dialogue came from Sashi, and that Caribbean person got who was not speaking anything in the class got a power, came forward, and he accepted his homosexuality between them. uh, one thing I would one thing I would like to add, that which we discussed yesterday also, about that NRI films and interracial films, that even today in 2012 we are going for an interracial films for liberation of women. For liberation of the women, white man is needed, and they need to go outside of the India. Then only they can grow. As Sashi is growing after going to New York. In India, she was binded with all the loads of family and work of family members. In the conclusion, I would like to say that English Winglish has brought a great glimpse of a new Indian woman, and it is like a slice of our life as we are having our own life seeing there. It has layers of emotions and message. It is a part of progressive Bollywood movie, which is not only trying to bring a feminist perspective, but also the topics like nationalism and homosexuality. These are my work cited. Thank you.
Jill, can you say that with the help of film studies tools, we can read the main idea of any movie or film?
Okay, reading. As we know that film has the purpose of entertainment. They are not for reading purpose, but we are doing so, and for that, what we film is always going in one flow, and it always tries to give us one message. As in this film, we see that it was going on the path of feminism, but there are certain minor themes also in the movies which can be read only with if we know those theories. Today we are very much told that we know the theory of homosexuality, LGBTQ, we know the theory of nationalism and how it is boosted in our mind, so we can see that. And so if we want to see more than any more more than what film is saying or trying to tell, we need to have more concepts in us and to watch a movie with more focus as we are studying any material.
My question is that what does the movie English teach?
In a way, I have tried to go through the themes and study the film through the frames. Like we as we begin with, the frames talk more than the words are telling, and so we begin with the study of the frames. And if we go for the learning which we can get from English is like, sometimes we don't know whether we are helping a person or we are making that person feel inferior. For an example, if someone who is physically disabled is going on a wheelchair, and we with a good good in our heart, we feel like we should help because they are needy, and we help them. But perhaps for that physically disabled person, it would be like, I don't need anyone's help, I am capable enough. And if we help, it might make him feel inferior. The same learning what I get from this film is, when we try to help someone, they might get feel inferior because Shashi's husband now and then was trying to have a cover over Sashi, that she don't know English, talk in Hindi, or sometimes we will see that someone is talking in English, and that her husband is trying to translate the English in Hindi and do that guspos in to Sashi, which was not liked by Shashi. She was feeling inferior now and then. So this is all what I learned from this movie, and everyone gets their own message on their own reading. That's what I think. Thank you.
visible? Good afternoon, everyone. Today is third day presentation and morning session. The my topic is queer theory in Hindi cinema. This is my personal details. Quote, a queer theory is dominated by the problematics of discovers how things are spoken about the deconstruction of categories and a profounder skepticism of science. What is the queer theory? The queer theory is a field of study that examine the nature of sexuality and the gender-based normality and how society define and police to a concept of heterosexuality, homosexuality, and gender identities. As a branch of gender and sexuality studies, queer theories aim of deconstruct what is acceptable or normal. A queer theory open a new avenues of thought to define concept considered central to identity and identity politics. History of the queer theory, the first of sexuality as a social contracts. In the first history of during the 1917s in a work of like the history of the sexuality in written is written by work Michael of Fold. The second is a sexual behavior hierarchy. He is written by one essay of thinking sex in 1984, written by Grelier Ramban. The third is the grinding of sexuality. This is seminal book written by Ivo Kofias. And he is the coastal book in 1919. And fourth is sex and gender performs is written by Judith Butler 1919s. And the fifth, the birth of queer theory is written by Michael Warner, and he is in the birth of queer theory is the heterosexuality, homosexuality, and the transgender is written by his work. Queer coding in Bollywood. I'm just for cinema. The first Golmaal 3, Tissue and Student of the Year, and Mr. India. In his Tushar Chaudhary, thought the problematic aspect of the representation via queer coding. This that in reject that being said, Gaonis is the often shown as a personality that of highlighted as different or odd simply because he is a voltest gender role. It is the not represent as a sexuality. Being gay is not a part of personality that can be written. It is a sexual preference, but that important narrative get sidelines, and that is what the audience observe in the films. That what the audience probably observe subconsciously about fear, people being different and become voracious. In a goal. In a Golmaal 3, the role of a puppy, he is the forget the memories all time. Dishoming Akshay Kumar, the different character in, and he is transgender. And the student of the year, Chandracharya, he is a principal of the university, and he is the character of the different identity, and also the Mr. India's the Mugembo is the different identity, Bollywood. So It is not beneficial at all. Actually, it settle of opportunities of organic representation and reinformer talk is myths about the communities of portrayal them as curricularities of antagonistic characters, says the students. Another was navigating queer representation in Indian cinema. Uh, in also talk about Vasu Vadhaido, the film of the in queer theory. He represent the two character. He is Rajkumar Roy and another is heroine. So in the film, is the mainstream Hindi cinema has seen recent upticks in the portrayal of LGBTQ plus the subject. Recently, Badhai Do film, he is a capture being queer in. Heteronormative patriarchal families with disputation of the same sex desire and the everyday struggles that queer people face. The movie notable despite never seen before sense of community and the friendship within the queer community. And he's the though he is the character of the different sexuality and LGBT, and one another his film is the Chandigarh Kera Ashik is attempt the start of conversation on human and the positive trans representation despite ledgering some of these stereotypes that tips of challenges. LGBTQ movies that were done right in Bollywood. While India as a country has come a long way in terms of how we function as a society, there's still a lie curtain aspect that we are away behind from every we should be. For example, our perceptions towards the LGBTQ community, India's for some reason considered to be unnatural. For a man not to love another woman and vice versa. Even thought the government of India has officially declared to the have no quibbles over it that thinking has not yet transplanted in mind of people. Some example of Hindi cinema in LGBTQ. Kapoor and Son of one of the example in Kapoor and Sons. Two characters. The first Siddharth Kapoor, role of Arjun Kapoor, and his brother Fadad Khan, his role of Rahul Kapoor. So in Rahul Kapoor, he is he is a gender. And he is a relation with a boy, and his mother is ultimate with his boyfriend photo. He's seen and his show in a family in his film. अनदर फिल्म इज एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा. इन हिज फिल्म एक लड़की को देखा तो ऐसा लगा was another mainstream Bollywood LGBT movie that further a big star representing the LGBTQ community. Sonam Kapoor Ahuja played the role of Sweetie Chanduria, as the daughter of the fun loving and the traditional Punjabi family. Ever since the Sweetie was a young girl, she dreamed being a bride. Between when he grows up, he realized that although she want to be a bride, he is not the same way. He is the imaged when he is a sweetie and rejecting all the superior picked by her parents. Balhar Chaudhary is role of Anil Kapoor, and Chotara Juhi Chawla role. When they get a hint about her reason behind it, he's later revived the sweetie he is not love with a woman. While untimely, her father does not take the news well. He realized that she, the same daughter he loved, he's loved alone. So, in a film was the first mainstream of Section 317 lifting movie. Another movie is Bombay Talks. So in a movie represent two characters, and one character is Rani Mukherjee husband, and another character Avinash. So Avinash, he is not a birth of gay. He is realized after he is gay, and he is meet to Rani Mukherjee husband Dev, and he is to relation with Rani Mukherjee husband Dev. Another movie, Aliga. So in his movie directed by Hansal Mehta, and his movie related to the true story of and based of origin life in the India's Uttar and his role about the professor of Department of the Classic Modern Indian Language and faculty of Aligarh Muslim University in Aligarh, Uttar Pradesh. So in professor, he is sex. He's a sex with the rickshaw plural, and he is a different identity. So he is not a rival. Your identity with a relation is our man, or he interested man, because he is a professor. So he revive your identity. So he is. So he's left in a university, and he's forgot your job, is not revive your identity. So another in his another way, his university, and one his Rajkumar Roy, we is a reporter, and he became his news, and capture his whole life news. Another movie is My Brother Nikhil 2040. He is the two based on Goa back his 19. So in his movie, Nikhil Kapoor is main protagonist, and Juhi Chawla is brother, and he is just stay with. Stay with out of India, and he's come to Goa, and he is the he is the HIV. So his health act permeated the police arrest his brother Nikhil Kapoor, and he's kept in isolation. So after the he is the he is to arrive to the AIDS. He is to AIDS, and after he Nikhil that, and same way he's same way he's Anamika was a role of Juhi Chawla, and he's the boyfriend Nikhil. So his boyfriend. After his brother death, his boyfriend also the AIDS rogue, and so I found another example of the French effort, another short story of the urban language, and is the main protagonist of the Muslim, and he is with another man of Muslim, and is a short story about. And India's our section 377 under the four articles with the right about the LGBTQ and queer theory. So first is the right to equality under the Article 40, right against decommunication under Article 15, right to freedom of speech and expressions under Article 17, and right to the privacy under Article 19. So in all the LGBTQ the nowadays is the more of freedom and is the struggle or all the stream as to the develop as yourself and justice is my citation. Thank you.
My question is, generally, what do you think Bollywood, by making movies having these transgender characters, is giving enough justification to transgender community?
Uh, I think Bollywood, by making movies having a transgender character, is giving enough not justification by transgender community, because he show only the how is the struggle in your life and behave the other people, and he is the struggle of justice, and he or she not he struggle our life to the position our dreams to not justify the Bollywood transgender communities.
I would like I would like to add to it that if Bollywood, as Bollywood is using the transgender roles, they are using the normal or straight people or a actor and actresses in their Bollywood movies. Instead, if they can use the transgender himself or itself in the Bollywood movies, then they can get a place for their income, for their economic stability also, and that can even make an effective movies in the Bollywood.
Why is queer cinema important?
So in cinema in queer cinema is important because his role in a cinema a transgender homosexuality and homosexuality to the identity of the transgender people, and his behave and he's the realize of the how to behave people in how to behave with people in the area of the justice.
Okay, first I have to share some of the screens. So let me give a brief feedback from here. Okay, so yesterday I think Vachchhalata was asking about this score. No? So if you want to score in the last two parameters about citations and other things, so how you have to integrate the things. Let me share a screen. So this is your citation. Now, if you are like when you refer to Abraham or Hassan or Lalita or Mubarak, these are not found within the text. When you are referring to the things, then you should be like talking about them. And then you are making a point of it. Then you get a good score about that also. So that is leaking. So your integration of source is not up to the mark. So this points you are not getting full. And again, when you say about any of this like Bollywood film, so where are you reading that? So you have to say that according to so and so blog writer or website writer, what they speak about this film or this character, that should be cited or referred also. So that linguistic markers are also missing
when you write. So it seems to be like this all things are said by you. Actually, you have referred to some site and brought this content from that site. It is not actually said by you. So when you don't refer that as an in-text or when as a linguistic marker that according to this writer or that, it doesn't become a valid point also. So that needs to be changed there. Second, when this was by, okay, Janvi also has not referred to any seminal critic. So when you refer to like queer study, then ultimately who is the pioneer of queer studies? Like who talks? So Judith Butler, we have referred. So he should be there when you talk about or when you clarify the concept that you have to see there. Even see Nidhi's citation I am looking here, that you might be looking at. Now this all like Stefano or Saba seems to be a good source. Marxist feminism coming from Wiley online library. So Christine Stefano is a good source. Paul Saba, feminist questions about Marxist theory coming from the Marxist.org is a very good source. So you have reached to a qualitative resource, but these are not referred. So when I search Stefano, then I find it is only once referred. It means within the text, nowhere you refer to Stefano or Saba. So that way I am because I have to do quick judgment. You very quickly make presentation and everything. So I use this technique to see whether Stefano is anywhere. And if I find anywhere, then I see how you have used that. If it is not, then I conclude that you have not cited properly. So you do not get proper marks in this. So that is the connection with in-text citation and outside. So in a very quick overview, if I find, then I give full score. Otherwise, the marks are cut. So here very clearly I find that it is not connected well. Then there was this, Khushboo used this Bradley and they are cited, but your most of the content came from one article which you have referred here directly, like without mentioning the name of the person. You have just given the link only, which is not a proper way of putting. This article was this by Almira. The last name is very difficult to pronounce, but some Almira's article, Ecocritical Echoes in Wordsworth, Tintern, Abbey, that you have by and large taken. So, but that is missing. That name is missing. So you relied a lot on one article and you are not naming that person also in your resources. So the question of academic integrity comes here also, that you have to refer and then you have to tell something of your own also. So this was that. And Nirav, in Nirav's article, for example, he referred to one website, literaryness.org. Literaryness.org is widely referred for various sources written by Nasrullah Mambrol. Literary Theory and Criticism, you have referred. J. Hillis Miller, you have referred that site. For Jeffrey Hartman also, and also you have referred the same site. So several times that reference is coming there. This again is a very good resource. This site is not a bad site. It is quite a good site. And when we look at that site, if I open that site anywhere, literaryness.org is not a bad site. It is quite qualitative site because when I click about on this site, I do not find anything about the writer, but it tries to say that this site is followed by many academic institutes, and the long list of books, websites, long list of universities. They might be using this site in their study material. Like for example, on our study material site also, we have linked many other sites. So they also can claim that, well, Bhavnagar University also is using our website. But we have told you many a time that that is for exam purpose. That is for examination purpose. You have to understand the text. So it is for basic understanding of the text. That is not for research writing. That is still not a good resource for research writing. So if it is there for your MA studies or BA studies, It is again for the examination, MABA exams, but not for research writing. Yeah? And also books they have cited this. That is what they are claiming, and it really like makes the list is that Taylor Francis is publishing Routledge Handbook, and if they have cited, Springer has cited, so these are well renowned things, and if they cite this website becomes reliable also. So one can say that, well, you can't like put this website as only the site which is used for passing some exams like net set exams or MA exams or BA exams, only that, but it is cited there. But with along with this also still we have a doubt, like it normally is a website which is helping students to pass this net set exams and other things, the links which are given there, and for that it can be used also. Yesterday also we made this comment, I don't know whether in this group or in the another group, that when you refer to the material developers who are preparing for net set exam or any such exams, they still are preparing students for exams, not for research. So there is still a gap in using that study material resources for this or not. So what can be done? Now you can say, well, you doubt this resource, though it is of good quality. So what can be done? Now, the link that you have referred in your site, for example, Jheel Miller, you have referred in this. While you refer to this. Now, when you read this, they refer to another side. Here, there is a deconstructive angle that is referred here in this. In the another resource, like, for example, in your site, you have referred to, if I say Hillis Miller, one is this Stevens' Rock and Criticism as Cure that you have referred here. This one, and the another one was you also referred with the same reference to this. Yeah, this one, a critic as a host. Here on this site, you have referred the critic as a host, and your sources Mamrol for this. So now, better way is that why don't we study the critic as a host, and then say this, why the secondary source we should rely. So the question comes that how can I read the critic as a host? You were telling yesterday that you rely on online source, so don't visit library, or you don't have a book where originally this article is published. That is the question. No? That was your question yesterday also. And that might be troubling to many people also, that, well, okay, fine, I want to verify whether this literaryness.org has properly cited or not. So I want the original article. So this is this website, zlib.org, z-lib.org, and it gives you this article. So you go to articles, and then this one, critic as a host, J. Hillis Miller. If you search this here, and then you are getting the article. So this you can download this article from this, because this is quite an old 77. So it is very difficult to reach to an older archival. But when you try, we are still able to reach. So this article we get, and then now you verify that there is this reference to oak tree given there. It is in the beginning. There is there, ivy is there, and then there is this point of rationality, imagination in cultural history, and there is a very interesting beginning that M.H. Abraham cites Wayne Booth's assertion that the deconstructionist reading of a given work is plainly and simply parasitical. That was the point you have used in your article, your slide also, parasitical thing. On the obvious and univocal reading, obvious and univocal. The latter is Abraham's phrase, the former Booth. So now see how this writer is clarifying. This is what I am telling. That when you read article, you come to know how to write that. So he used somebody's words And then he's telling that the first word is used by Abraham, the second is used by Booth. He's not claiming that these are my words. In most of our presentations, it seems you are claiming this is things done by you, which is actually not done by you. You're not borrowing only phrase and words, but paragraph after paragraph without mentioning the person's name. And when you read the article, you realize that even word is taken, then he says that these are the words. And then see the next sentence. My citation of a citation is an example of a kind of claim which it will be part of my intention here to interrogate. This is a very interesting way of putting it. If you get this style, then your writing becomes really academical and really critical and also research-based writing. What happens when a critical essay extracts a passage and cites it? See the questions that are put there. So how many times you have used questions on your slides? Yes, Vachchalata, leave your mobile for a while aside and listen this, because this is what you were also asking. પાછળ બેસવાનો આ ફાયદો કે તમે શું આગળ કરો છો એ જોઈ શકાય. એટલે કહી શકાય કે you have to listen, because this is also addressing your question that you were asking yesterday. So this, so how many times you are raising questions in your slide? Each and every slide should have a question which you are justifying with the help of some other critics and whatever you have read also. Is this different from a citation or echo or allusion within a poem? So in poem there are allusions and citations. In critical writing also you are doing citations. So here we call it citation, there we call it allusion. So how these things are different? Is a citation an alien parasite within the body of its host, the main text? So when I base my argument, people may say that if everybody has told that you are telling, then it is a parasitical way of looking. You are completely depending on host. Then he is claiming that even literature is like that way parasite. Literature also makes use of allusions a lot. So can you say that this literature is a parasite depending on the host, extracting everything from the host body, and is it existing or not? Well, so it's J. Ellis Miller is locating in a very interesting domain, the very debate and argument. He is locating in such a way that well, you will, if you want to have a question against criticism, that question will become against literature also. If you think that criticism is killing literature, you may also have to say that, well, literature also is killing literature. It is like that serpent which is eating itself, the serpent which keeps on eating itself. That way perhaps it will become. So now when you read this first paragraph only, you get a very interesting style of writing, which we never get when we read secondary. So literariness.org is a good website. Then also going back to J. Ellis Miller gives us something valuable which that website cannot give, because it simplifies the things. And we never get a style of writing a research article without we read original article. So now you got an idea how to reach. Even if you are relying on online thing, there are things available, but maybe the steps we don't know. So we don't reach to the original article. But this kinds of resources like this ZLib, library, which gives us a very interesting resource of this article that can be reached out, and then we can make our argument. Now you can directly refer to J. Ellis Miller. Now you can remove this literariness out of this, and your things become more qualitative. So that is what we keep on insisting, that how you can do this. That point. And then in Jheel's presentation, you started with camera angle and you were talking about this frames. So you referred to only one book about this film study, but very importantly, what you have to study is camera angles. So you have to Google articles and books related to camera angles. Then only it may become significant. So this is Sage Journal's article, Effects of Camera Angle on Perception of Trust and Attractiveness. So through camera angle, variety of thematic study is done. Studies are done through that. So here it is, perception of trust and attractiveness. And this can help in reading that. This is a very interesting thesis, MA thesis. Quality of this is even better than the PhD thesis. but this is MA thesis. You will be writing MA thesis in next semester. That's why this becomes very important. Influence of camera angle in film narrative. Because it is MA thesis, I would not say that this will be of a good quality. So we'll have to check this, and one of the parameter of checking is their bibliography. So I go to bibliography and I find what they have studied. And if they have studied qualitative work, then I can still rely that it must be good. If it is only study material sites, then I would say that, well, this source is not a reliable source. And from within this also, I can find lot many things. Like the second citation here is Avery, RK, and Long, JF, 1976. The effect of vertical camera angle on perceived credibility of televised speaker. So now we start looking at only camera angle articles, and whatever they have said, that we review, and then we can write on that also. This also was a good article here by Robert Kraft, The Influence of Camera Angle on Comprehension and Retention of Pictorial Events. And then this also, this is the full article of Robert Kraft, which again we can read. There was an abstract there, but it is available online for full reading also. So this is how you can like reach to the qualitative material, and that should be there. So if this way, if your citation is rich, it means that you have referred and reached to a better places also for your research. So digital source has its own limitation, but doesn't mean that it is so limited that we cannot
And so don't make it as an excuse that because you have a limited time and you do not have access to library or books, so you are not able to do qualitative work. While listening to you, I am able to gather this much information by doing multitasking, listening all of you very quickly one by one, and doing other tasks. I was able to show you that this is how this is all at fingertips. Without moving from my chair, I was able to display qualitative material. Downloading the entire PDFs, well, all articles can be read also. So if I can do, you also can do. I am not any magical Harry Potter kind of being or coming from any of those magical school that if what I can do, you cannot do. And we don't want to claim any kind of divinity or avatari karan that I am, because of those avatari influence, I have magical powers, and you are common layman, you don't have those magical powers. That we don't want to claim as such. So what I can do, you can also do. We are in the same environment. So it doesn't make as such. So don't give such these things as an excuse. So when I listen these excuses, then I feel like what way I have to tell you that what can be the answer for such a thing, that the excuses are not allowed. You have ample resources available, and it can be explored. But I mean, again, I have to show everything. This all, and it is very rigorous. So sometimes we think that, well, સમજદાર કોઈ ઇશારા કાફી. તમને કહે છું કે આ બધું છે, તમે જુઓ એટલે એ હોય. પછી તમે એમ કહેવા આવો કે આ નથી. પછી મારે બધી મજૂરી કરવી, પાછું આ બધું ખોતર કામ ખેતર કામ કરવું પડે, ઊંડું ઊંડું જવું પડે, અને તમને એક ડેમો તરીકે બતાવવું પડે. જો આ રીતે, this is what I am telling. But every time I have to do to demonstrate. Someday I hope that I don't have to do, I will just tell and people will do. This is like when Ramakant Achrekar, who is the coach of Sachin Tendulkar, when he teaches કે આમ રમો તો સદી થાય, ને સચિન કે ના તમે સદી કરીને બતાવો પછી હું એમ કરું. પછી રમાકાંત આચરેકર રમવા જાય, સેન્ચુરી મારે, પછી સચિન કે ના હવે હું એમ કરું. એટલે તમે વારંવાર મારી પાસે આવું કામ કરાવો છો કે you have to do, then we will do, otherwise we will not do. You will tell, we will not do. You will tell, we are not doing. We will give an excuse કે તમે કહો છો પણ એમ થાતું નથી, અમે બહાનું કાઢીને તમારી સામે ઉભા રહેશું. So I have to do it. I have to make a century, and then you do it. Now you can also make a century. આપણે એ જ પીચ ઉપર તમે અહીંયા બહુ સ્પિન થાય છે, અહીંયા બહુ બાઉન્સ થાય છે, આમાં બેટિંગ થઈ શકે એમ નથી, તો એ સ્પીચ ઉપર ચલો હું એ પીચ ઉપર ચલો હું સેન્ચુરી બનાવું ને હવે તમને કહું કે હવે તમે બનાવી શકશો. ભલે એમાં બાઉન્સ હોય, એમાં સ્પિન હોય, રમી શકાય એવું ન હોય, તો આપણે રમીએ અને રમી શકાય. We are in Bhavnagar, we are not in London ઓર ન્યુયોર્ક કે ઇન્ટરનેટ ઉપર બધું મળે તો ન્યુયોર્કમાં ને લંડનમાં થાય, ફર્સ્ટ વર્લ્ડમાં થાય, થર્ડ વર્લ્ડમાં આવું ન થાય, આવું કશું જ નથી. વી આર હિયર ઓનલી એન્ડ વી કેન ડુ ધ થિંગ્સ there. So even like when you have to write a blog or when I have to have a YouTube channel or a digital portfolio to tell somebody, I have to do everything first. People still don't do it if you don't do it. So even then after doing you tell, then also people are not doing. એટલે તો બહુ આપણે એમ થાય કે કયા પ્રકારના લોકો આપણે આજુબાજુ છે કે તમે કહેવાથી લોકો સમજી જવા જોઈએ તો નથી થતું, પણ કરીને બતાવો તોય નથી કરતા. તમે કરીને બતાવો તો પણ લોકો નથી કરતા કે this is something valuable and it can be done in different way also. Well, so excuses. Instead of that, one can try and one can reach to a better resource also. So very quick overview. It was good. Vachchalata's content was good in Feminism and the film that you have done. Content-wise, it was of a good one. Nirav also had a very good content on the side. The review of all the deconstructionists was very well done. So it can be very useful resource. Slides can be very useful resource for anybody who wants to work out in this part of deconstruction. So good slides were prepared. You referred to Taylor in the last slides, but there was no citation of a Taylor, so I was not able to verify from where it came. Yeah? Questions were not of a good quality. Janvi and Vachchalata asked, but they were too simplistic questions. Common ground of Yale School and deconstruction. Yale School itself is deconstruction, so there is no need of asking such a question about the common ground between both there. So because Yale University, you have seen a video also of a professor teaching in Yale University. That was the place where when Derrida was working as a professor. So that's why it is known as Yale School, because they all were working there, and there they came up with these ideas. Okay, then Nilay also tried good with this CLiC thing. We want to see what difference does it make. That 1 or 2 points also can be very valuable there, but things were cited properly. Whatever was referred was cited properly in the presentations. Nidhi, Marxist feminist theory. Question were not answered properly. Class system and feminism, how it is affecting, that was one question to you. So that you have to see that was not done. And rule structure, division of labor, and this between male female, that question also was a good question. I think Nirav asked that question, and the one, yeah, but that was not replied properly. You can say that right now all our rule making is on the side of women. So it is not about equality, it is about equity. It is very strongly supporting women, all our rule structures and things. So whenever the idea comes, people always think to make rules who are favoring women. That way it is normally seen. So we are in a phase of the thing where most of these things are not going for equality, for equity. Historically, whatever wrong things were done, it is supported by giving extra advantage, at least legally. Socially, culturally, it takes time in absorbing, but legal systems are very much, or you can say, loop-sided towards women. Normally, it is like giving more freedom there. Recently, Supreme Court's judgment also about abortion rights and other thing. They also are pro-women, women-friendly, and many right-winger in India are not happy with that idea. They have said that this is a wrong judgment. In India, it cannot work. Now, what is this India? Is a cultured India. That culture of India cannot adjust with such a kind of a liberalism, which many thinks it is an influence of Western society on the Supreme Court judges also. So that's how they are making a critic also. Okay, then Nehalba, Ecocritical theory, you have read. We made some comment then. Okay. Mayuri also was good, but Marxist film theory. Again, you have to read about Marxist film theories. So what is Marxist film theory? That needs to be checked again. What you have done was applied Marxism in the film. That's thematic reading only. But Marxist film theory, it will say, if you Google, you will find this, that it is an intellectual technique of using capitalism's own structure against itself. The very idea of film is very private enterprise. It's a very rich enterprise. It is very capitalist. It is all about money, money. You will see nowadays also that most of the film reviews are just talking about money rather than talking about film as an art. They all are like interested only in that which film is earning money and not earning money. Most of the debates are only about earning money. So it is using its own structure against capitalism. Marxist film theory developed from this very precise historical beginning and is now sometimes viewed in a wider way to refer to any power relations or structures within this moving image text, any power dynamics or how they are operating, that is also studied there. So some of the Marxist film theorists, they try to make a film where there is no solo hero, but there is a group narration. There is a group narration. So you are, again, like there is a one character, one person is becoming dictatorial kind of a thing. It becoming like a hegemony of one person who is able to do all these things. So then you can suddenly start seeing that the single hero film, superhero kind of film, they are so capitalist centric in that approach, because it like drives that idea that one person can do this or that, whereas Marxist idea will be about community, whole community working together for upliftment of everyone. It is not about one hero emerging and says, "Main hu na, I can do, I am a Superman, I am a Batman, I am a Spider-Man, and I can do everything." Now that is not actually the narration that should fit in the minds according to Marxist social structure, where each and every person is responsible for making a change. One solo person cannot do that. So then democracy can be understood properly, that it is the system for everybody having a power. It is not about one person who should be worshipped like a hero. It should not be one person. So cult personality. So Marxist becomes very angry with one person becoming very popular either in political domain or any other things also. So that idea that film is told by many people, not one person is driving, that also can be seen under that. And also the another idea is that how political understanding of the medium becomes very interesting. Medium is, film is a medium, visual medium, which is so powerful medium. And because of its power of influence, how it can be used as a political tool to change the minds of the people, that also can be seen in there. Khushboo made on eco-criticism, Tintern, Abbey, we have referred to that. You have referred, in one of your answers, you referred to Chipko movement. That was good. The Indian Chipko movement is very well known in this idea. Okay? Nehalba asked this question, that what is Wordsworth's concept of eco-criticism, nature? Now that is not actually applicable, because he has not given the concept of eco-criticism. He is read as an example by eco-critics, and eco-criticism is not only about worshipping nature, but there is a part of eco-critics who started with this idea about how nature is favorably presented in the literature. So Wordsworth becomes very important figure, that nature is favorably presented, or the divinity that is given to nature. That is one way of looking at eco-criticism. But then people wrote against this idea also. And then because very idea of worshipping is questioned. Like feminists also question the idea of worshipping. So they very openly said that we don't want to be Devi. So don't worship as a Devi. So the very concept of worshipping itself is becoming problematic. So converting nature into divine also becomes problematic. So other eco-critics do not agree with that idea. But the article which is referred, it is like loop-sided on that way of looking at Tintern, Abbey. Then Wordsworth was a champion of that way of doing a deification of nature. It can be read in that way, but that is limited reading also. Second last was Jheel, film in this. We have referred to that, camera angle articles that you need to study. And Janvi's was one, queer theory film. We made that comment on that also briefly. So it was there. So content-wise, it was still good. Presentations were quite well. Most of you have done very good content on this also. Okay. Okay. Wish you all the best for your last presentation tomorrow now, and we are ending our session today.